Welcome back. Are you ready for the second matchup of the day? Ssg versus TSM. I'm getting amped for this one. I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Jesse and Veli, our lovely analysts. How y'all feeling right now? I mean, Dark Zero definitely shocked us. All of us said that TSM would have won that last one, and then Dark Zero was like, nope, we're going to do it in two. See ya. And now we're here, TSM versus SSG. So, Veli, how you feeling about the day so far?
My emotions are in shambles at the moment. Everything that I thought I knew about the NA League and the top teams has just been thrown out the window. Dark Zero, they're looking like they're outright the best. And yes, I said that about TSM earlier, and look what Dark Zero did to them. I thought Oxygen could have proved to be a top 2 team, but they weren't able to prove that this weekend. So we don't know what's going to happen. I'm ready to enjoy the games. We got 2 more left, and I'm ready to jump right into the action.
Jesse. We say siege, right? Like, this is one of those days where you're just like, it's siege.
It's rainbow.
I feel a little bad for TSM, but now's the time for them to step up and wipe that sadness away because they got another game to play and they're not out of it yet. Again, that's the beauty of double elimination. So a tough first game for them, and Dark Zero kind of wiped the floor. But hey, we saw just yesterday Auction Esports come back and put up a really good fight after they got slammed in their first matchup. So I have faith TSM can do the same. And
we're about to deep dive into this matchup in a hot second, but we have been talking to you about the DLC. I'm sure y'all know about it at home, and we are going to be showing you. We are going to be showing you a full reveal trailer on Sunday during our best of 5.
I thought you were going to say now, Jackie.
Why would you do that?
I was like, what?
I was trying to hype everybody up. Okay, but
it's so good.
It's coming on Sunday, everybody. It's coming on Sunday. But until then, we got a little snippet for you. We've been dropping little snippets, throughout the major here. So this will be our 3rd one. Gentlemen, are you ready? Okay. Tell me what you see. What's going on here?
What's on the left?
The bottom left must be what matters here. Okay, before we said it was a trampoline, right? Maybe it's like a trampoline, and that's like we're unfolding the trampoline so that they can put it under a hatch, and then you can bounce on the trampoline and jump up the hatch. And then it explodes. And it also is a drone.
Wow, that's in depth.
Can we just play the teaser video right now, Jackie?
Don't you put that on me. Don't you put that on me. No, Veli.
Don't
you put that on me. Of course we want to see it. I don't have that power. That's in our producer's power.
You don't want to show us
She's
the
going
video.
like this to me right now, so you all are trying to get me into trouble. She just said
Wakanda forever?
Oh, okay. We're going to have to wait till Sunday. Veli trying to put me in the hot seat here. I'm putting y'all in the hot seat. We're about to talk about SSG versus TSM, okay? Okay, let's start off with SSG. They're coming off of a strong, huge win against OXG. That was so much fun to watch and also equally heartbreaking, right? But Veli, they do have that momentum behind them today.
They have a little bit of momentum riding on them. That wasn't a good game by Space Station. It was far from their best. I think that was like we saw 50% of Space Station that game. Yes, Folks had a great day. Yes, Rampy did well. Bosco was mediocre in the stat line. But Canadian, me and Canadian, we had a lot in common that last series. We were both late bloomers. He didn't do good at the beginning of the match, but later on, that's when he really picked up. We want to see more Canadian involvement because even though he's not going to top the leaderboards, it's his rotations, it's his flanks that makes the biggest difference, especially when he's on defense. I want to see more of that and often.
Yeah, I think Canadian has always been like a big step-up player for this team, and when he goes off, he really does like carry the squad in a couple of rounds. So, got to keep that up, obviously, but he's been playing really well so far.
Yeah, definitely a standout without question. I do want to talk to Jesse about this. SSG, they're kind of in a good situation here. They just got a break this morning, and they got to pick apart TSM versus Dark Zero. I mean, kind of an advantage, I would say.
Definitely, and I think Troy talked about in his winners interview last night about how they're a team that take a couple of rounds to figure out their opponents, and then they adapt to that mid-round, right? And that's how they win their games. That's the style of team that they are. And I'm worried for TSM that they just played a couple of maps against Dark Zero. Consulate particularly is a map that I haven't seen the map bans, but I'm thinking it might come up again. So if that happens, then Spacestation Gaming have already seen what TSM brought to the table. It's unlikely that in the short time we have between matches, TSM have reinvented the wheel on all of their holds and their attacks. So either this is going to be a couple of maps that TSM no longer really want to allow into the map pool, or it's going to be potentially an advantage for Space Station. If TSM can't change up some things, then that research is already going to be done, and we could see Space Station Gaming walk away to like a pretty dominant victory.
Okay, I need you to flex that big brain a little bit more for me, okay? So if you were SSG and you just watched this defeat from Dark Zero to TSM, what are your big takeaways? Like, what do you think SSG is like, y'all, we need to do this?
I mean, I think it's definitely like taking control on Consulate. That's going to be a big one. I think Clubhouse, there's less to learn about how your opponents play because it really was just Dark Zero being the team that they are and destroying on Clubhouse. But Consulate's one that I really do think Space Station Gaming can look at that with a magnifying glass and say, all right, Dark Zero, particularly on their first 3 attacks, were able to isolate these players here, there, and there, and they're able to really take control of the bomb sites in particular ways, either going from above when it's a lobby take and where they need to isolate those angles, and going for different sorts of attacks when they are at that Teller's bomb site too, right? What did TSM like to do when they're there? Well, they throw the Oryx up and they do all this interesting stuff. That's intel that Space Station Gaming can put in their back pocket, and I assume they have. Again, one of the best support staffs in the world, if not the best. So they've been watching that match for sure, and they've absolutely been incorporating into their gameplay as we're talking right now. So yeah, there's a lot that they could pick up, and I expect Space Station Gaming, if we go to a Consulate again, they're going to use that.
Okay. Veli, I need you to step up right now. What do you think SSG is thinking? What are they like, we got to do this right? After watching that last match.
So, TSM, they did historically bad on defense, especially on Clubhouse, right? That's one of SSG's best maps, even though they lost on it not too long ago. If I'm SSG, I'm looking at how DZ picked apart the roamers, because when you look at TSM, that's their scariest part that you're going to have to deal with. You got to get rid of the bolos, you got to get rid of everyone else that's on the roam. So if SSG can continue doing that, which they do a great job with the Rampy folks and also Bosco in the mix, I think that can really propel them into a successful situation.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Big Brain here. So you got a little map breakdown for us, right, when it comes to SSG. You did some homework. You pulled out that graphing calculator. Tell us what's up here.
All right, so this is a little video I prepared. It's going to be a round that Space Station won against Oxygen's, the round-winning round on Coastline against Oxygen. So this was a really important round, and they pull out an operator that not a lot of people have been using. We've seen it a little bit more in this tournament so far. So let's take a look and see what they did.
Okay.
How's it going? It's Jesse, and today we're taking a look at Space Station Gaming versus Oxygen Esports, the rematch and the fight for first place in NA. We're gonna look at map 1, round 15, where Space Station are on defense, and they use a really interesting operator to defend on the double bar bomb site. Let's take a look. So here we are on Coastline, and the strategy from Oxygen is going to be pretty simple. Bio and Vertical are going to take the diffuser through Mudroom, and they're going to try to plant default spot instead of Sunrise. They're going to do this safely because Fox is up here on the sledge, tearing up the floorboards and stopping any of the angles that Space Station would use to deny this plant. Fox is going to be safe because he's got Laxing watching the lobby stairs, and he's got Slash watching the Cool Vibe stairs. So there should be no way that Fox can get pushed and killed as he's doing his job, right? Well, wrong, because they haven't droned out the 6th pick from Canadian, who has moved over to the Oryx, which means he's able to go up one of those hatches and throw a big wrench into the plans of Oxygen. You can tell right now there's 5 players down on the bottom floor for Space Station, but that's going to change in just a moment as Canadian leaps up through the hatch, and we see his outline now. He's gone up the lobby hatch and is just sitting nice and comfy in the master bedroom. As we continue forward with this VOD, we'll see him start to go for this flank. He's going to run all in through Hall of Fame, crouch walk through VIP, and try not to make any noise, but there's a sledgehammer going off anyways, so it's going to be hard to hear him coming. Fox is starting to tear up these floorboards as he wishes, gonna go try to toss a grenade, not aware of the danger that's lurking around the corner, and there's Canadian in the kill. It is a trade for Slash, so it's only a 1-for-1, but the impact has already been made, and Slash is looking so flustered at this point because he's not sure how he just got flanked. Eventually he'll realize it was an Oryx and he has nothing to worry about, but take a look at his positions. He's got a lot of angles to watch for. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in the floor opened up. but that's so many holes to watch for just one player, and he's also got to worry about the cool vibe stairs, so there's just way too many angles. He's not on very high HP. He's already pretty flustered from being pushed when he wasn't expecting it. He's not in a good position to stop these defenders from going for the rotates that they want to make. That's going to make this defense nice and easy for Space Station. We'll see the last two players of Auctions out of Mudroom try to make their way in still, but they just don't have the coverage. The first player is going to go down to a long angle from the Jaeger inside of Blue Bar. That's going to be vertical dying. There he goes to Rampy. Then we're going to see Bio make it into the plant spot, but he's just got no coverage up above. That allows Space Station to push on in. Easy peasy, take him down. Watch Faults do that now. There's also a 1v1 that happens all the way back around office area where we see Rampy take down Laxing and then Slash alone in the 1-on-4. He's just got no hope, no time, peeks into two people watching this angle and does lose the round. That's how Space Station did it. They win Coastline, pushing them that much closer to first place in North America. They will go on to win the series and get the best seed going on to the major, and you can tell Troy's quite happy about that, talking with his team. Look at his smiley face. He's so pumped to have won this map against Oxygen Esports. But there you have it. Map 1 in the map that sent Space Station to the first place in North America and got them the best seeding going into the major.
Caster, statistician, and an artist, apparently.
He knows it all, Jackie.
I mean,
He was happy.
I don't know
what
who's
you're
the
talking
better
about.
artist out of y'all. I mean, we've seen some of Ellie's work.
Terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we got to talk about this. The stakes have been raised, gentlemen. If you lose, you go home. You're done. You're out of the grand finals. I guess they're already home, but you got to go like sulk in your room and you're going to be around a bunch of upset people. You don't want it. That's what I'm trying to say. But talk to me about the pressure and the emotion. I mean, we saw it with OXG versus SSG. Like, they were two high-speed trains going fast. Like, they were like, we are not losing, and we know we're going to see that energy right now. Belly, you're smiling, so I'm going to go to you first.
I'm smiling because it's exciting. It's scary as hell, but it's exciting at the same time. All right, so to paint the picture and to set the scene, to set the tone, Space Station Gaming World Champs, they find their way in their second elimination match so far this major. That's insane. But TSM, I got a feel for them right now because we saw them at 6 Invitational. They have been better than ever. They almost made it to the finals. They fell against NIP, right? Now they have a chance to have their revenge against Space Station Gaming, a team that beat them at SI, and a team that they know they're going to have to play lights out against in order to make it to the finals. If they lose right now, that type of blow is going to be I can't even speak right now. It's going to be insane because all the progress they've been making. Right, the team changes that they've made to bring in Geo, Pojo Man is going to be on the coaching staff now. This is what's going to tell them how good they really are after all this time.
And I think the comparisons, I think the comparisons to the Invitational were really, really important too, because, you know, for Space Station Gaming, they're world champions. To win that tournament and then come here to the next big event that we have, you know, it's only North America, but it's still like it's the major, right? To walk into this one and then go out third, that would be a huge step down for them, and that's, you know, that's obviously ignoring how well they've played so far. That's ignoring how high the level of competition is, even just in a 4-team North American mini major. But that would be a huge, like, devastating blow to Space Station. And then for TSM as well, you know, you go to the 6 Invitational, you play so well, you get to the lower bracket finals, and you lose. Now you come to the North American mini major, you play so well, you get to the lower bracket finals, and you'd lose again. So neither of these teams want to lose. That should go without saying, but like based on the previous tournament's results, it should be even more ingrained in their minds. Like for TSM, let's not let this happen again. To Space Station, let's not stoop down to that level.
And by the way, Jackie, I tried to say monumental, but like my brain, I was so excited. I almost said monstrumental, and I was going to sound really dumb,
like
but
monstrumental.
I'm still excited
it's
about
like
this.
Monster
right?
and monumental put together, and I mean, like, that's...
The chat would have roasted me to oblivion.
No, come on,
so
chat, be
yeah.
nice, be nice. We're all...
No, they're cool. They're
I
the
know,
best.
we love you, chat. So we have been monitoring the play of a couple of players here. We've been closely watching Bolo, and you guys picked Fultz as the player to watch for the other one. So tell me why y'all want to focus in on these two. I mean, Bolo, it's funny. I think y'all kind of jinxed him a little bit because you were like, look at him. He's just consistent every time. The stats are great. And then he kind of had a not as great one. But yeah, anyway, I'll let you all do the talking here. Here's our players to watch.
Jesse, I spoke last. Would you like to first go?
Sure. I mean, I think that, like, obviously Bolo had a tough time in the earlier match today, but that doesn't take away from how great of a player he is. And Bolo's an interesting one because, like, he's got his fans, obviously, and then they've got people who they like to trash on Bolo, like to say that the fans are too loud, but I don't like to hear any of that. I think Bolo really is the real deal, and you know, one bad series, I'm not going to hold that against him. I still think he's a fantastic kid.
Yeah.
Faults, on the other hand, though, like, you know, Spacestation Gaming have never been a one-star team. They've always had these big players. Faults was really, really good for them in that last matchup against Oxygen. So, really young kid who's going to come into this team and hopefully play big against TSM.
I'm going to say this. First off, to everybody out there waiting for the game to start, we're waiting on the player, and then we're going to get things started. If I find out who it is, we're going to call them out because they're stopping us from watching greatness happen, right? But I like the... All right, this sounds really bad. I like the... Right, I like the fact that Bolo had bad games. Not because they lost, but because you take a look at Dark Zero, and what's the word from pro players' mouths? You kill Hyper and it's easy, right? Now, not the case for Dark Zero anymore, okay? I want that to be the case for TSM, all right? I want Bolo to have bad games, like astronomically bad games, like historically bad. And the rest of the players, they pick it up and win the games outright. That's going to make TSM better in the end because they're not going to depend on that walking 12-kill player. Now, you take a look at Fultz. Fultz had, what, a 17, 18-kill game last night?
Yeah.
That's insane. Fultz on Maestro was scary. Fultz on Entry is even scarier. He's my player to watch instead of Rampy this time around because I personally believe that Fultz has a bigger part in the success of the rounds than anyone else on this roster. The guy is phenomenal and he's a freak.
Gentlemen, this just into the studio. Map vetoes have begun. Are you all ready? We're getting there. We're getting there. And who pushed everything back? Veli's gonna chew you out on Twitter. We'll do some investigating and figure that out. But okay, here are the selections, gentlemen. How do we feel about it? We got SSG in the top, TSM on the bottom.
Okay, I don't think it's too bad. Notice that Consulate made it through the initial bans and then wasn't picked by TSM. I think on paper that's probably their best map. That one or Oregon, but Space Station banned Oregon first. But they know that they just played it, and they know they didn't play amazing on it, and they've got some weaknesses. So they don't choose it. Space Station banned it in the second round. Theme Park, Villa, and Coastline, no huge advantages. Probably Theme Park is the biggest one. I think Space Station have looked really good on that map. They have the better map pool overall, so like TSM kind of had to pick maps that are more neutral based rather than, you know, picking maps that they're going to really excel on.
I really like Theme Park, especially for TSM, because I'm thinking about the prospect of their playstyle, right? I think the most important map of this entire series is going to be Villa, and the reason why I picked that is because we've seen TSM on Villa against Dark Zero not too long ago, and we've seen how that has played out. Now, with that being said, TSM, they're going to have to strike fast. If you give Space Station enough time to adapt to their play style and catch momentum, it's going to be a wrap.
Okay, guys, it is prediction time. And unfortunately, I think all of us have kind of lost our big brain status. I think we've been all,
Excuse me, I apologize.
over the place.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about an Oxygen game on Villa last night. I take that away. It's redacted.
Redact. See, yeah, none of us, we've all lost big brain status, apparently. But we were very wrong for the last series. How do you think this one will play out? Jesse, you're in the hot seat first.
All right, so
good luck.
I think Theme Park should go Space Station Gaming. I think that's going to be the easy map to call, map 1. After that, it's really going to be, can TSM battle back? Can they do what Oxygen did and still put on a really good show? Or can they go above and beyond and lose their opening game of the night and then come back and really win the series? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say probably Space Station Gaming, particularly with that advantage on map 1. Should take it overall. 2-0, 2-1 could go either way, but I'm leaning Space Station in this engagement for sure.
Veli?
Jackie, this is where all the idiots in the chat say that I'm a TSM hater once again.
Not.
And the reason why I'm going to choose Space... Nah, forget that. I want them to say it. I love that hate, okay? I bask in it. The reason why I'm going to choose Space Station Gaming is because I'm giving them just the outright benefit of the doubt. You guys are the world champions. You guys have had the most success in the past year, right? So if you want to maintain on top on that throne and you want to sit pretty and have Canadians say he's the best in NA and NA is his, they have to beat TSM. They've done it before in a big way. They're going to have to do it again now to face off against Dark Zero in the finals.
I mean, SSG, defending world champs, they are fighters for sure. So I'm going to jump on the train with y'all. But I'm worried. Whenever the three of us agree, then, like, I don't know.
That's when we look like fools.
It's the
Did we
jinx.
jinx them?
This is gonna be a TSM
Oh
win,
no,
then, so
I
we'll
don't
see
know.
if it's true.
Well, we will see. But everyone at home, if you don't already, please make sure you follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. We got Blue and Stokes in the house. They are going to be casting this lovely match for you. And please make sure you participate in our community poll question. But let's get to it. Can you believe
Jackie,
this?
loser goes home. This is it. Loser goes home.
Loser goes home, and it's TSM
they
versus
stay home.
SSG. Well, they stay home. Anyway, yeah, we're ready for it. We'll be back in a little bit.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the major. It is time to move on to our lower bracket final. We've got SSG going up against TSM. Only one can move on to tomorrow's grand final, and the other, unfortunately, has to stay home and watch all the festivities. Happy with the third place finish. My name is Blue. Joining me here on the broadcast is Stokes. Stokes, how you feeling about this matchup?
Oh, I am feeling fantastic, my friend. We have a matchup that we haven't seen since SI, well, at least with that level of importance. Granted, this is at home. Obviously, it is an online major with everything going on in the world, but that doesn't mean we can't have some fun in that time. SSG versus TSM the last time was a Hell in a Cell matchup. I don't think this time is going to be any different. Granted, we did just see TSM go through some very turbulent things.
And not only do we have a great matchup, we've got some great merch this weekend too. I'm gonna pull this out real quick. Hey,
you got more?
Got some cool stuff, you know. And it's here's the kicker, folks. This is a hoodie, by the way. In case you can't tell, I'm working with limited space here, so I apologize for not being able to show it off to its full glory. But not only do we have this very nice, very cool looking hoodie, got that nice jersey as well that I was wearing on the stream yesterday, if you managed to catch that. And there's a cool little cap as well. So make sure you go ahead over to the Ubisoft store and grab that while you can. These items are only available until the 18th, so make sure if you guys are interested at all, you jump on that while the opportunity is still there.
I'm very jealous. I wish I got 2-day shipping with my stuff because it's just
yours is still on the way.
I checked my front door. You know, our producer said to check your front door. I checked my front door to nothing. There was crumbs.
It's unfortunate. Like 2 days ahead of you there. But anyway, moving the discussion back over to this matchup, there's a lot of interesting factors playing into this one. SSG, of course, not showing up with a show-stopping performance that a lot of people might have expected to get out of them, given their run in the regular season of the NAL and how dominant in general they've looked over the past few months. TSM as well, showing up really strong on the first day, but in their most recent match that they just played a little while ago, good performance on map number 1, but faltering heavily on the second map leaves the question of which version of TSM is going to show up to this matchup and which version of SSG as well is going to be stepping up to the plate today.
Well, I think if history says anything between these two teams, they bring out the best in each other, and I don't see why this matchup would be any different. We got everyone up on cam from TSM right now. You guys can see the TSM camp looks very focused, same as SSG. We're missing one of the members in the chairs, but I'm sure that they will be back momentarily. We are just waiting on one person to jump into the lobby, so that's what we got going on between these two. I'm extremely excited, especially with Chala in the lineup now. I think that he provides something to TSM they didn't have in the previous matchup at the last major, so we'll have to see how it happens.
As usual, folks, we've got a community question for you guys to answer. Go ahead over to our Twitter account at R6esportsNA and submit your vote. We would like to know who is going to clutch up and take their team to the grand finals. Which individual player will get a better performance out of this matchup? Will it be Fultz or will it be Bolo? Go ahead and let us know over on Twitter. We'll have the results during the analysis desk a little bit later on during the show. What do you think, Stokes?
Listen, that one's a little bit too easy, I would say. I got to go with Bolo on that one, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm part of Team Bolo.
Your Twitter mentions might not be too friendly if you don't answer in that direction.
Yeah.
So.
I can't wait to turn on the stream the next time. My entire chat's just going to be everyone yelling at me about why I didn't pick Bolo.
How
could you do this to us? I didn't even get it from my best friend. My best friend is a Windows Bolo player.
Everyone just rocking that charm, of course. But yeah, that's part of the question with this series, right? Is the performance that we're going to get out of Bolo. Absolutely show-stopping performance from him in the game versus OXG yesterday. A 6-0 entry record. Didn't miss a single first kill when the opportunity was presented to him, on top of 100% cost. And if memory serves me correctly, right about a 1.8 rating as well. Man was on fire in that matchup, but as I was just explaining, in the most recent one they just played versus DZ, it wasn't necessarily the case. A little bit on and off in that respect. So we have to hope that things can get off to a good start, and we can find that 100% cost Bolo if we want to be seeing TSM trying to dominate this series and knock out the world champions.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need it. Looking at their stats yesterday, you guys could also see that Bolo was on some different operators from what we're used to seeing. His most played ops were Thatcher and Mute. That's something that's a touch unorthodox, at least from Bolo, but hey, he was still able to achieve all of those stats just playing those, and that doesn't mean that necessarily that's a bad thing. So very impressive play from him. I'm in complete agreement with you. They need to see that form of Bolo, otherwise I don't see them getting around this SSG squad.
However, as Valley mentioned during the analysis test segment, we don't necessarily want to rely on just that singular player for performances as well. We're still expecting quite a bit out of some of the other players for TSM. Don't necessarily have an opportunity to show themselves, at least in yesterday's matchup, since Bolo was kind of just grabbing all the frags for himself. But hopefully we can see some of the other guys stepping up to the plate. As we know, especially players like Merc and Geo, they've been known to step up in the moment from time to time too. Another player that just joined this season that we haven't even talked about yet, Chala as well, bringing some amazing clutch potential, especially in the regular season and the first bracket phase that we played out during the regular season of the NAL. Chala was on fire during that period of time and has continued to bring an incredibly clutch performance in many matches since.
It's amazing the amount of mirrors it seems that we have in between these two teams, specifically Chala and our good friend Bosco over on SSG, both with that clutch potential. I mean, you look in the frag department, you have Rampy and Fultz for SSG, and then you have Merc and Bolo for TSM. I mean, we can go on and on. There's so many comparisons that you can possibly make. Obviously, the playstyle's a touch different, especially coming from SSG with the amount of strats that they're able to pull out. But walking into this, the map pool's looking very interesting between these two, specifically Theme Park, the very first map here. How are you feeling about that one, John?
Things are, for the map pool, actually, I think things look really promising for SSG in that department just because of the 3 maps we got. Their records look a lot more promising than what we have from TSM. A lot more mixed results coming out on the 3 maps that we've chosen. Now, with that said, there are some very comfortable picks for TSM, Villa being included in that, but at the same time, that plays just as heavily into SSG's favor too, as it's also a pretty strong map for them. It's going to be a very tough series to call, folks, but we don't want to keep you waiting any longer. We are loading into the first map now on Theme Park. Let's get down to it. Let's see who's going to be moving on into the grand finals tomorrow in a fully loaded best of 5 series, and who, unfortunately, will have to be happy with just 3rd place.
I don't think anybody's going to be happy with that, especially these two squads. Whoever's getting sent home is going to be thinking about this for a long while. First ban in, we're going to get Thermite off of the board here. Let's see how else the offense will be hindered.
It's been common to see a lot of hard breacher bans coming out here, especially as of the last few series, and that trend is going to continue. Thatcher, of course, will remain in the mix, so you can still work your way through these walls, but with only Hibana as your option to do so, easily the longest fuse time currently, at least just through a normal projectile that would get rid of that hard destruction, or hard reinforcements, excuse me. That's still going to make it very difficult to get through if you have wall defense on the other side.
Well, last defensive ban coming in now. We're getting rid of the Clash, along with that Wamai that we were just talking about. So could see a pretty decent amount of Capital play with that Wamai off the board. Capital is going to be free range to be able to shoot his arrows wherever he pleases. So we'll see if they use that to annoy some of those anchor operators. Round 1 coming at you guys pretty fast here, and we're headed towards Armory for our first defensive site.
Let's take a look and see how the lineups are going to align. Pretty straightforward lineup with regards to TSM here. Going to change up into a Goyo. Goyo can help out quite significantly at delaying in the event that SSG are going to get any of the 3 double walls open relatively early on, and as a result of that, be able to commit to their push a lot earlier. That's going to get 6 picked away, though, goes back over to the Valkyrie, which I think was the initial pick from Achieved anyway. So just jumping right back onto that one and making it a much more traditional lineup here that works on quite a few sites across this entire game.
And we are going to have a Jackal pick up here by the offense as well of Bosco. Not the worst pick in the world, especially on Theme Park. I'd definitely say it's going to help them out a lot. Multiple teams roaming quite heavily on this map as theme parks actually become quite congested since the update. Not necessarily in a bad way, it's just that there is a lot of map to be had and a lot of map control that you need to get the job done, especially on that offensive side. So we'll see how TSM is going to attempt to slow down SSG here, and if that Jackal can possibly assist in this roam clear.
Are going to thankfully have quite a bit of roam presence, more than likely established by TSM. It's just with regards to how quickly they're going to be able to pull it back and try to keep those roamers alive that will determine how effective it will be, along with, of course, the amount of time actually getting wasted in the process. We've got SSG out. Looks like it's going to be pretty heavy over towards Dragon to start things off. Just have those couple last reinforcements going down for the defenders, of course. But as you can see, about 4 players already working their way up, either onto the roof or onto the Dragon balcony to start the clear from east to west. Second floor is first on the plate, though, as they do need to deal with the roam presence.
This is a very spread TSM right now. You can see there's not very much site presence. Geo's the only one on site. Everyone else pushed towards the west. Kind of a 2-2 split here. Chief playing over towards the yellow stairs. Bolo Merc upstairs on arcade balcony side, as well as Chala downstairs inside of the drug lab. Could possibly delay if somebody wanted to try and hop inside of storage. But for SSG, that's not even the take. Their take's actually coming in from cash.
Won't group it up right now. SSG not really finding much with regards to their clear so far here on the second floor, but of course Jackal will make the unseen a lot more obvious with his ability to track those footsteps, so having him nearby here, more than likely tracking down at least a few players, that is going to send TSM reeling back over towards yellow, where you can already see in the case of Achieved, he's been forced to fall back, and he's going to be pincered in a moment here if he's not careful, as I believe there is pressure from players in the yellow hall just behind and above him as well. He has to be very, very cautious about how he plays this. Things looking relatively clear in that hallway. Thank you, Lando, for checking that for me. There is going to be a lot more presence established elsewhere. 1-for-1 exchange and 2 completely detached fights. Fultz and Bolo end up falling. It's an even exchange at the end of the day. Achieve still not able to line up any angle to play against Rampy, though he certainly tries the Nitro cell to the ceiling, but it is not going to connect. And now Rampy commits to the push out over on the catwalk on top of yellow stairs. And picks off Achieved himself.
Achieved stuck between a rock and a hard place there. You guys saw Thinking Nade get some good intel on him earlier at the bottom of yellow stairs. Continue to try and play it out and delay as much time as possible, but didn't work out in the end. Ended up dying as he tried to rotate away. But that doesn't mean that they can possibly fight back, but SSG adding insult to injury now as they continue to push this envelope all the way home. Last man remaining is Chala, FMG 9 in hand, so not going to have the one-shot shotty in case anybody does get close. 40 seconds remain now as they've gotten confirmed intel on where he is. Currently playing split with that deployable shield. This is very rudimentary for this site. Plenty of soft destruction going on now, and they have yellow open, so a plant should ensue soon.
Not much that Chala's going to be able to do here to extend his life. Just going to have to hope that the duels come with good timing so that he can try to space them out and individually take out these players on a 1-by-1 basis. The push is going to be coming in, though, towards Split, and I believe it gets picked off by Thinking at bottom Dragon anyway. So that fight eventually goes into SSG's favor, as we did expect. TSM, unfortunately, is not able to peel their roam game back quickly enough to the site, be able to mount a late-round defense, and as such, they are torn apart by SSG 1-by-1 in a slow and arduous process.
A lot of disjointed kills there for TSM. Just no real chance to get a refrag, all except for obviously the one that Merc was able to bag for himself at the top of arcade. Other than that, though, SSG, fantastic roam clear, taken from the proper side and everything. It seemed that they had the intel on how TSM wanted to set things up on that side of the map, and choose to go to the opposite side in order to make the clear a little bit easier. Actually get some presence inside of the building, push across, and start to pick up those frags. Good intel game as well on multiple floors. We'll have to see how things work out now, as TSM's already going to be shifting gears. Don't want to play Armory anymore. We're headed towards Bunk Daycare.
Different flair on a different site for TSM. Hopefully the extended game works out a little bit better for them here if they are still going to play into it. I would assume so, considering their operator lineup. But even away from that, generally the extended game plays a lot closer to the site on this specific site. That means TSM should hopefully have a lot more room for forgiveness and chances to actually get their players back in to play out the late round, which was a big problem last time. We're keeping them in extended positions for a really long time, and as a result, it seemed like they were getting hunted out due to the fights that they did take. Some good work, of course, by SSG to make sure that that did happen, as they restricted the movement of TSM's players upstairs in the last round quite heavily. Speaking of which, SSG are about to come out on the board once again, and TSM have got a pretty straightforward setup here for defending the bunks.
This feels like one of the most fast-moving, at least from the first round, obviously, theme parks that you and I have casted this entire season. SSG not getting on the brakes at all. It's all gas here, and we'll see if that continues on. Fultz, as well as a drone outside a cafe, seeing if they can get any presence. The duo themselves, Merc and Fultz, about to engage in some combat, but Merc falling back, choosing to try and waste some time here, but still intel just for SSG. Don't want to try and get too aggressive. Don't want to get that cart in front of the horse and possibly have another early death.
Drone gonna get spotted out there by Merc. He will watch to see if there's going to be a follow-up from another member of an SSG who may peek that, but never really plays into the advantage of the attackers on that angle unless they're actually going to drop in there. So very low chance he would get that duel. And away from that, it's looking like Merc is going to have to abandon that position anyway. He still is roaming, trying to hold on to the waiting room initiation and office area just next to their site there. You can see Merc and Geo kind of holding that together. SSG are starting to make some progress on map control. It's only just begun, though, as you can see Fultz going in for a quick clear over towards the bake, or over towards Cafe. We'll get that cleared out relatively quickly. Not much in terms of resistance here from the other side of it on TSM either. We've got 1 or 2 players over here at top arcade, but besides that, Cafe is relatively open for the taking if they want to try and swing it over towards yellow.
Oh, some early deaths now coming out for SSG as they're still trying to hold down Cafe, but that's going to be Bosco removed. No more help in the information department. He's able to find some footsteps. Now into the sub-minute 30 area. SSG adjusting throughout the map. Fultz going to get on rappel onto the south side, see if he can possibly get any picks inside of break room or what have you. Rest of SSG, though, still outside of Cafe. Very slow-moving offense this time around as TSM is still poised completely around the site. Still have office control, still have initiation control as well. Chala and Bolo are doing their damnedest to try and hold down Arcade Balcony. It worked out very, very well early on here, especially with that shield up towards the arcade stairs. But Rampy seeming to know Achieved is downstairs, but that's not even going to matter. We're going to have some trades ensue upstairs as SSG is already hitting site. Diffuser is actually down on Arcade Balcony. Geo and Achieved the only 2 that remain. Still plenty of intel to be had here with the Valkyrie and Echo in play, but nobody on cams. Obviously, plenty of bodies on the ground in order to jump on that themselves. Rampy now planting here, but since the Echo's dead, they're going to have to try and find other means in order to prevent this. But it's not going to happen as we go directly into the post plan.
Achieve with a nice find, at least after the skirmish with Geo goes a little bit too far into the yellow hall. That goes into Achieve's POV, and he's able to pick up a kill from that. That only evens out the man count, though, bringing it down to a 2v2. Geo now carries it forward, picking up 1 for himself. Fultz seemed like he had the lineup there to be able to trade that, but the timing was a little bit off. Thankfully for him, Plant's already on the ground, so he just needs to delay this or win out the remaining fights. He's got 1 for himself. Geo's in the shoddy, trying to pepper some shots through onto Fultz, but ultimately Fultz will get the better of the exchange, taking control of a second round for the attackers on SSG.
Very unfortunate there for both TSM members. They're seeming very disjointed right now, and I don't know if this is just a follow-up from the previous series or what, but both of the members just not ready for Fultz's presence in either of those gunfights. Specifically, that last one right there was a big showing from Geo. Ended up sprinting there and putting the shotgun down, and since you sprint, you're not able to shoot immediately when you want to, and Fultz is able to put enough of those R4C rounds in him to secure that. Nice clutch up there by Fultz, and overall a great round from SSG to be able to get that diffuser down and get the picks needed. It seemed that earlier on in that round they weren't going to be able to achieve very much, but there was still a lot to be had. We're headed towards Bunk Daycare once again for TSM. I don't think that this is a bad move at all. They were able to slow down the Cafe push a lot, but just were not able to secure things when needed.
Yeah, kept the members of SSG locked in the Cafe for a while. I mentioned at one point during the last round that I thought SSG were going to be free to try and swing over towards yellow. That actually was incorrect due to the hold that they had over on the inside of office with the lean out from the inside of vault that was being played, I believe, by Merc in that last round there, or whoever was on their Jaeger in the previous round. So it restricts SSG pretty heavily, disallows them from making any sort of move, but eventually SSG were able to battle past that anyway. And once again, take control of the round. A lot closer than last time, though. With some slight adjustments, TSM might be able to close out this site and finally get a defensive win onto the board, which probably explains why they've gone for the reattempt here in round number 3.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing walking into this because Theme, it does lean towards the defensive side, but right now SSG is definitely making it look offensive, even with that clutch from the previous round. For TSM, whether it be just working towards these trades or what have you, we'll have to see, but as of right now, it does seem as though we're not able to get the ball rolling just yet. Hopefully they're going to be able to rise to the occasion here. Plenty of utility to be had for the defense, like the shield play that they have going on with the Goyo and Smoke, specifically over towards the arcade balcony.
It's an interesting stat for those of you who are interested. Thank you, by the way, to Jesse for this stat. SSG at the moment have not lost this map since its introduction. They have played it 3 times since it came out, and so far have 3 wins on it.
Thank you so much, Big Brain. We appreciate you, my friend. Already a minute into round 3 now, as TSM rocking the same setup that they had the last time, but didn't need to go off of the course too much, as SSG didn't have a very good time trying to deal with things. There was quite a few issues that they ran into, but now that they're seeing the same thing over again, I don't know how effective it's going to be. This is something that everyone's talked about for a very long time when it comes to SSG, and more importantly, Canadian makes these adjustments all the time for his team. This IGL position, almost an early death here for TSM once again, but end up being very, very close. Smoke grenade out. Habana's X-Kairos going off on the daycare wall. Finally, we have some vision.
Might be a little bit messy, though. I don't know how many of them were left, since quite a few were getting shot out, I believe, by Merc or another player who would have been holding on the inside of yellow. Definitely enough to get good vision, as you said, although I'm not certain if they're going to be able to work through any of that, since that top one there on the right side did get taken out for the most part, and it only has the tiny little box present. Thankfully, though, SSG can still utilize that to try and swing around to the primary doors, and there's that piece of soft destruction that they could use to get into the site as well if they want to go in through this direction. The problem is you still have the player on the inside of Office, Merc, that can wreak havoc as soon as they try to swing from the outside of Cafe, as you just saw with the case of Fultz there when he tried to finally peek it. He's already down to 25 HP. They need to look for different options, and unfortunately for SSG, they don't really have a whole lot of time to do this. We're already down at 37 seconds. They're going to need to find a way to commit to this, and quickly.
This is very troublesome, although they have burned through all of Smoke's toxic babes, so we'll have some breathing room finally. But the bad news is that it's still 5-on-5, and Fultz has been injured. He's very, very low on HP, but we might have a nice flank here from Rampy. Oh, the 200 IQ. They have to execute fast, though. There's only 15 seconds remaining. Where we're going to be putting this diffuser down. The briefcase needs a home. What a shot from Canadian. He needs to continue on down the line, though. He's already halfway through the plant. SSG putting it all in the bag, but now Rampy has to pick up the deployable as well. Another Nitro cell out. Can it get the kill? It cannot. Rampy's going to confirm the briefcase, but it's a nice move from Achieved. Find some space on the opposite side, though, as the last remaining SSG member, but Rampy can't win it. Achieved with a triple kill on the round, and that begs TSM their first round of Theme Park.
Like I said, just some slight adjustments were all that were needed from TSM. The core setup from round 2 was solid, just needed to hone it a little bit. And that's exactly what they did here on round number 3. Merc's able to stay alive on the inside of Office for a lot longer, forces some last-minute rotates at the hands of SSG, and they were just not able to get positioning quickly enough. Certainly made it a battle and nearly got the job done anyway, but this time TSM comes out on top of the round and finally gets themselves on the board.
A lot more patience there from TSM, and that's exactly what they needed. In that previous matchup there, they were not able to achieve too much, mainly because of those early picks that we saw go on, especially when SSG started not necessarily executing, but what we saw in that previous round that we noted when they got vision into daycare. That's when a lot of TSM members started getting feisty. They wanted those fights. They wanted to try and get the picks onto those SSG members, but the trades ensued and it ended up falling into SSG's favor, and that's not what you want to happen ever, as we saw in the round before last. So much more patience there from TSM, begs them their first round, and hopefully this is the start of something fresh.
Hopefully something new for TSM to work off of here, and then they are not actually going to go back over into Throne Room for the next attempt here either. They're going to rotate over towards Lab instead. A site that's been getting quite a bit of popularity in the pro sector of play. Quite a few of these sites, actually. In fact, all 4 of them have seen viability for the most part, with this one choosing to be a favorite among specific teams.
think the most interesting thing, especially from these last few rounds here, is just SSG's ability to plant. I think this is something that we've been talking about throughout the season, is how good they are in strats and their ability to put that diffuser down. And even in those low time situations at the end of those rounds, they're still able to find enough space to get it down, even though they weren't able to win, but still playing that objective play to a T and still giving someone a chance to clutch up. That is what makes SSG SSG. We'll see if they're going to be able to continue that. They're already 2 plants out of 3 rounds, so we'll see if they can possibly make it 75% here.
Quite a bit of roam game going to be extended over into the inside of both Armory and Throne itself, despite the site being over on Lab. Obviously, the common trend that you see out of teams on these extended holds. So a little bit of extra work that SSG will have to go towards. A relatively safe room, which is why Achieved is also going to be occupying it there on the pulse. So hopefully he doesn't get caught in the event he's tunnel vision. He has some time to react to that and try to swing over and win any fights. In the event he gets challenged by a member of SSG. SSG, in the meantime, though, are once again going for that top clear. First off, here, the east to west second floor clear out. I'll have to deal with Geo on yellow. Thankfully, it looks like he's already backing up and giving room for the players that are clearing on office to back by. As you're going to see Rampy opening up that soft wall going to catwalk in just a moment, assuming it's not reinforced. I don't think it would be, so.
No, it's not reinforced.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. I was like, just making sure, but...
And this seems to be the rudimentary take here from SSG. This is exactly how we saw them handle things last time. Get office control, make a hole inside the single panel for the scaffolding. So they get a drone up there to see exactly what's going on at the top of yellow, as well as inside the hallway. Good intel here for them as they're clearing out the top floor. TSM, though, all set up downstairs and plenty of nitro cells to be had. We have 3 on the defense, but that doesn't matter if you're not able to get some kills with them. 42 minutes through this round. SSG with plenty of presence here, but we need to see these initial frags.
Potentially could become the same problem as the last round, where SSG are struggling to find those initial picks that really start their execute and get them rolling here. Building up a lot of anticipation towards that moment. Now a bit more of a setup here as Rampy takes care of some of the soft paneling above the sites itself. He'll start to look for opportunities to either take players out completely or use one of those 2 frag grenades, maybe both, to pick up some kills here. You've got multiple members of TSM hiding primarily on the west side of the site. You can hear that beeping too. They've got a pre-placed C4. If somebody runs in the wrong spot over top arcade, they could be a dead man. And the players on TSM can find themselves in a good position. They're going to be in a good position regardless, though. We're out of 20 seconds, and nothing's happened yet.
And this is that patience from TSM shining through once again. Chala's going to take a little bit of damage, but he's got Merc in tandem with him. Anyone that hops that window is surely dead. Fultz with the first kill at 10 seconds remaining. It's a harsh execute here for SSG. Canadian rotating to the bathroom. He gets Achieved off guard. He needs to sprint in and get this kit down, though. 0-0. Does he have the time? He does! Oh my god, SSG! Wow. What is that? Such an impressive offensive round as they hightail it into sight and remove every single speck of TSM from Theme Park.
That is a world champion level execution if I have ever seen it right there. Beautiful stuff from SSG. I'm doubting them until the very second they go for it. But it seems all that time they spent just posturing up outside of the site is intel gathering, setting themselves up for success, because when they go in, they come in booming, knocking out player by player by player on the side of TSM, leaving absolutely no one alive and killing the last man standing with a little less than a second left on the clock. Beautiful stuff from SSG. Very risky, but it plays out. And it's not the first time we've seen play like that this weekend.
All I have to say is, Lycan, I see you. I see you, Lycan. I see you. That was extremely impressive. I know you got the biggest smile after that one. Troy was putting down that diffuser as 0-0 hit. And in case you guys don't know the mechanics of the diffuser, the briefcase actually has to be laying on the ground for the timer to be extended. If you hit F and you're taking it out of your pocket, that does not count. So it was truly, truly frame perfect there, like a fighting game, for Canadian to put that briefcase down. That was probably one of the most impressive rounds I've seen from this entire tournament.
Very, very cool stuff from SSG, and it is going to flip the site for TSM yet again here, as they do not feel the confidence to re-attempt the lab defense, given how one-sided the execute was, even with the low time on the execute. It's back over into Throne to re-attempt this one, as unfortunately the upstairs site, which they won, is still going to be locked away for this round.
Well, TSM headed back towards Armory. Going to have the roam game again. Achieved, though, on the Mozzie this time. Bolo bringing the mute, so trying to slow down SSG in the information game. More than likely a good idea, as that's what SSG obviously leans on quite heavily. That's how they're able to achieve things like they did in the last round, where all of a sudden the pressure just floods in, and you're not really able to do anything about it. But it's going to be the roam clear here from them once again. Very cheeky angle into Gong here, or achieved. Playing at the top of Dragon's Stairs. See if he can be successful here with this roam. Also going to have Bolo upstairs as well, trying to help achieve with this roam, as well as Merc. We have everyone. We have the whole team once again off site, but they're playing more spread throughout the map. Obviously, knowing how SSG wants to clear now, they're favoring the east side instead of the west.
So they're going to get the pings to confirm the position of the Mozzie. If they're aware of that pre-fire angle on Dragon Stairs, then they won't get tripped up by it more than likely, since the Chief's been pinged in that exact position about 2 to 3 times now. So that's all on the intel game from SSG, though. And more importantly, whether anyone's even going to go through Gong, which at this point is possibly an unlikely situation. Achieved is possibly going to have to fall back to the site soon anyway, because as soon as SSG go for this Dragon clear, if Achieved's not in a position to fight, it'd be very unwise, in my opinion, for him to stay here for a long time. Bit of an awkward stare between Fultz and Merc for a moment, but Fultz definitely ends up getting the better out of that fight. Rampy is also going to have success in taking out Bolo. The same can be said for Thinking Nate, as he isolates Achieved and finishes him off there closer to Dragon. Once again, the same problem as when TSM played onto this site the last time. The roam game is just picked apart piece by piece, all by individual members of SSG. That's not a great sign for TSM. And obviously not a great sign for Chala or Geo, who still have to try and find a way to stay in this round.
No, this roam clear from SSG is just absolutely stunning. Going to have some damage taken from Rampy, but it's just a participation trophy for Geo here, as he's tagged him, but definitely did not bag him. It's all down to Chala inside of sight once again, and I think this is an opportune time to talk to you guys about that roam clear, because my god, is that thing vicious. They set up in order to push each other, but it seems as though we might have some initial engagements here, as Chala is already posturing towards the door, trying to get aggressive, but it's not going to matter. Thinking Nade gun up, prepared for him to swing. SSG with their first flawless of this round. But again, back into that roam clear, John, the main thing that I'm seeing here is that they will set up on whichever side of the map that they really want to clear. Obviously here on Theme Park, they're favoring the cash side as they push through, but it's not a very large push, or a very large force by those members of SSG on that side of the map. What they do is they establish their lines of sight to cut off where the rotations are going to be for these roamers, and then they send Fultz in from the opposite end of the map with intel on drones and have him actually push them or get those entry kills, whichever comes first, on these roamers. And it works so well. It's actually something that I've learned from hunting with my dad, where you try and push the birds out inside of the field, where you're obviously working towards each other and trying to get things to pop out. So it's a very nice clear from them. Well done.
Great stuff from SSG. It's guaranteed 2 nearly flawless and 1 guaranteed flawless round on that basement attack, or not basement, I should say, on that throne room attack so far. The good news for TSM fans out there is they do have the opportunity to go back to, so far, what's been the only site they've been able to win, which is going to be the Bugs. Should expect the same setup on this one. There's been a bit of a pinch setup between Office and Top Arcade from TSM that SSG have been having a problem dealing with. Now, they did take it out on the last round due to a flank, but it was too little too late, as the player in Office was still able to hold and kind of rip apart the rest of that, along with, of course, the anchors themselves in the site, and further back on the Top Arcade balcony, going over there towards like break room area. So SSG now have to figure out a way to get past that element of this hold from TSM. It's a relatively straightforward hold, though, so with some good roam clear once again, which Stokes just talked about, something that SSG really excels at, SSG should be able to put themselves in a much better position. That may just be as simple as trying to put a few more players in from Dragon's side and add some extra pressure from that direction.
Well, for TSM, when it comes to delaying time, they've done a decent job on the roaming game in a handful of rounds, but it just seems that Armory is not their place to attempt that. It honestly does feel as though they're just throwing bodies to the wolves when they are on roam game on that site. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit different up here, as they're going to be playing a lot closer to the chest, holding down waiting and initiation, and that's what a lot of teams favor here on this site. So should be able to keep quite a few more members of the squad alive. We'll have to see if SSG has any ideas about that.
So just the check over towards control definitely seems like it's going to be a factor of getting some control over here towards Dragon side, and obviously in control room itself, no pun intended. And they'll work their way into initiation from there. That'll clear out Geo. That'll obviously put the extra heat onto Merc too. Merc's been the primary problem for SSG when it comes to attacking this site. But that's also been the primary problem because they've been attacking from cafes. Now that the majority are attacking from Dragon, there could be a whole different set of issues that'll present itself. Obviously with the soft destruction noise going off, Geo has very much heard this and has flipped himself around to get ready for the push.
SSG slow and steady, and we'll see if it wins the race. No early deaths here for TSM. It's the patience is working out once again. Mute jammers in play from Geo that are going to hinder the SSG intel game, but they're already getting some pressure onto initiation as the hard panel is blown to the right here. Geo actually the only man playing the waiting initiation side. Merc is actually out at the top of yellow with that rotation that we've seen them play quite a few times already.
Geo just patiently waiting. Unfortunately, he cannot know which direction this push is going to come from. Could be a swing from the office bathroom. Could be a red dragon push here. And that's exactly what it is going to be. Bosco rolls out. There's even a Valcam still alive in the back there for a while there, but it's just now going to get spotted on the fallback from Bosco after the successful frag against Geo. Geo may have been pushing forward due to the intel coming from that Valcam, but obviously that is not going to be true, as he ends up getting taken out anyway on the swing.
I'm sure Rampy almost had a heart attack there as he almost sledged that Goyo by accident, but achieved with the very first kill for TSM. He takes down Fultz, and Fultz has already been having a day here. Thinking the only other man with 6 kills on the team, but that doesn't mean that SSG still can't get this execute to go off. We're at equal man count here, achieved plenty of damage dealt to him. 15 seconds remain as the execute's coming in. Still drone game here from Thinking Nade or in the rest of the squad as the man's been down by a nitro cell. Toxic Babe's working out, but achieved very low HP. Rampy gets that kill, and they have full site control now. It's all left up to Chala. He swings with the M590, but Thinking Nade, the only man left alive. And what else did you expect, folks? It's Chala in a clutch moment. TSM find their second round.
Talked about him being the man to look towards in these exact situations, and that's exactly what you get from Chala. The 2v1 closeout from the inside of Break Room puts TSM with another round onto the board, so they're not completely dead in the water just yet, but still, only 2 rounds on the defensive side is not optimal at all for starting out on defense. They're going to have a lot to make up for in the second half here, and if not, we're going to be looking at SSG taking initial control of this series with a 1-0 lead.
All right, well, SSG and TSM switching sides now, so SSG going to be on the defense. We're headed towards Armory Throne first, but I'm sure that wasn't a shocker for everybody at home. 6 pick off of the castle, over towards the Legion, assuming the 6 pick was more just of a confusion kind of thing, but obviously castle could also be utilized upstairs to try and funnel this entry game from TSM. As for the Legion pick, though, it's definitely going to work out. It's slowing down and just being overall a nuisance to this entry game for TSM. You have quite the lineup here, and obviously since Therm and Mav have been banned, you're going to be seeing a lot of Habana. It's Geo and Bolo here on the support units, but obviously, as we saw yesterday, that doesn't hinder Bolo all too much with that 100% cost that we saw.
Yeah, and a flawless entry rating as well, apparently.
He's just too damn good at the game. It's one of those people that you watch and you realize that there's no way in hell, even if you had unlimited time, that you could ever get to that level. That's the thing that you realize when you watch Bolo. His mechanical ability, his game sense, everything. Just, top tier.
Very, very good stuff from him. Definitely a match to remember yesterday. But it's not yesterday anymore. It is today. And unfortunately, TSM are not in that dominant position anymore. It's SSG at the moment that's controlling everything except that upstairs site when it came to their attacking rounds. Now they get a chance to try and double down on their lead with some good start on defense if they're able to hold on to a good lead here. It's not going to start out that way, though. Merc with an initial good find. It looks like through the arcade window is going to catch Rampy rolling by and says goodbye to him, at least for this round.
Yeah, it's just very unfortunate for Rampy, especially for the operator that he's playing. Legion is one of the operators inside of Siege that is time-based on his utility, so he gets more goo mines as the round goes on. So this has really limited his ability to impact this round. Still have some presence here from SSG. We'll see if it works out better than TSM's, but obviously early feelings here, not so well.
Merc still on the roam game here for TSM as well, trying to isolate out any of the members from SSG, but SSG have peeled back quite a bit from what we were seeing out and about before. Canadian is going to get spotted by the drone over here in lab. He'll shoot that out real quick, though. They don't know his exact position, and he's on the Jaeger, so thankfully he's going to be pretty mobile anyway, able to get himself into a different spot. He's now moved himself to the inside of barrels. Is this other player from TSM going to expect him to be in there? It's like, certainly yes, but the way the swing is coming, wall going to be broken above him. Doesn't phase Canadian, but it does send him into the open, and more importantly, into Bolo's crosshairs, where he's now going to be able to take him out and push the advantage even further for our attackers.
Very interesting stuff here from TSM, is that was actually Merc above that was waiting to see if they could possibly pinch out Canadian. Bolo on a very aggressive front with Thatcher, and I think that's something that a lot of people aren't used to, but when you have the ability to make it happen, you might as well. That's the SSG members, for the most part, inside of sight, all except for Thinking Nade, who's still inside of maintenance, making his presence known with that nitro cells. It blows up on the ceiling, but doesn't have anything to do with any of the TSM members. Still all at full HP here, with a lot of time still to be had, but they do still have some utility to hold things down on site, with specifically Bosco with all of his toxic babes. TSM making things even more difficult now as they pick up Thinking Nade. So it seems to be that this is going to be an offensive side of the theme park. As Toxic Babes goes down, he'll be able to lock down this wall for most of the time, but he's going to need help from Fultz to be able to keep this entry out.
Seems like it is indeed going to be very attacker-sided to start things out, especially when it comes to the roam clear game. Both teams trying to play off-site and have had no luck with that. Fultz, though, with some beautiful play, gets the double, make it 3 as he takes out Bolo. 4 and 5, could be right around the corner, but no, not going to happen this time around. Chala denies it and confirms the round for TSM after what was almost an amazing turnaround. The hand of an individual player from SSG.
TSM had to be sweating bullets there for a second, but at least they were catching them from 3 members. Chala able to finally shut down Fultz before everything went awry. So that's going to be their very first offensive round. No plans from TSM yet, but they didn't need it. All they needed were those frags. For SSG, we're already adjusting away from Armory and probably going to avoid that site like the plague for the time, well, at least for the foreseeable future. Lab storage going to be up next. We're going to have a 6 pick as well from Rampy, 6 picking away from the Mozzie, picking up the Bandit. Good pickup here. They're going to need that to be able to lock down the drug lab, or the lab wall, excuse me, at a quad panel they have towards the back end of that. And we're also going to have a 6 pick from the offense as well. Get rid of that Thatcher, pick up the Capitao. Capitao can be extremely effective as to what we talked about earlier. Wamaya's off the board. He's the only man that counters Capitao in the entire game. Capitao's bolts now have free range to fly wherever they want.
All right, folks, into yet another round here. SSG going to look to find their first successful defense here so far on this map, and TSM obviously looking to get back into the game, looking to get back into a leading position. Both teams having great starts on attacking the throne room, but are they going to be able to follow it through onto a different site? SSG has chosen Lab to follow this up on. Looks like they are setting themselves up, possibly for Thinking Nade to hold a little bit of an extended hold, I should say, somewhere upstairs here to deny a bit of cafe pressure, and then able to roam around the sites, and he may not be alone in that either, as Bosco is also nearby, able to assist.
It just seems as though, at least in this matchup, it's been so difficult to get these roam games to work for both of these squads. See if SSG can finally have a successful one, as so far both of these squads, at least offensive units wise, have been extremely good at clearing out this top floor. Not going to have all of the members assigned upstairs, though, as we are going to have Canadian on one of his most known operators. It's going to be the Pulse inside of Throne. That cardiac sensor works super well at gathering a lot of intel. Early damage dealt here, and as we hear the 416C going off, that's definitely going to be Bosco at the top of Arcade Stairs. He lights up Merc. Merc taking quite a bit of damage to that arcade window.
Going to be all quiet, though, while TSM tries to figure out a way to get past and, more importantly, get to the inside of this building. It does look like there is priority on trying to clear out Arcade if at all possible. That may be one of the hardest things they have to do here, however. May prove itself to be necessary, as attacking Lab without that could also prove fatal to them if SSG are going to be able to properly utilize the top down angles, or just fall back and be able to collapse against the attack there. Bosco's position going to get reconfirmed here via the drone that's sent in through Cafe, so he'll also have to change position. Going to play now inside of Daycare over by the train. Keep in mind, like I said, not alone here either. Does have some support right nearby from Bosco. Potentially another player wrapped around at the stairs too. Some spam coming in from Merc, and it is going to work out. Isolates out, thinking nade. Goodbye to the mute. Rampy now is able to swing on the bandit by yellow stairs though. Picks up the trade. Bosco finds one as well, eliminating Geo. Now SSG hold control over the man advantage, and they're going to feel safer to start pulling back those roamers closer to the site.
Beautiful refrags here from SSG, slowing down this offense, but still plenty of time to be able to get that diffuser and get it planted. Plenty of intel gathering still for the defense as well, with Canadians still alive, so they should be able to read into where the push is coming from, or even further, play where that cardiac sensor is if they have the intel on it, as this is all soft flooring directly above. Nitro cell out. Canadian blows it up, and Achieved is sent sky high. It's down to Chala and Bolo now. Still plenty of utility to be had, at least in Bolo's hands, which could possibly help them at least break line of sight. But with minimal time and minimal entry kills, this is more than likely not going to go well.
Bosco just not giving Bolo that fight. Pretty sure he knows that Bosco is holding the position on the inside of Split here, but regardless, there's no reason for Bosco to challenge that. Finally does swing out just to give Bolo a piece of it, but at the end of the day, Bolo's going to block it off with the incendiary bolt anyway. Chala will be able to pick up the first trade back, as they're going to try and execute it very, very low time. Second firebolt going to work its way in, but now Rampy swings back out. He's able to take down Bolo, leaves Chala as the only player left alive here for TSM, and unfortunately without much time left, hey, he'll be able to get the kill on Canadian at least, but he is not going to be able to win the round. SSG take number 8 here and inch closer and closer to victory here on our first map.
Fantastic roam there from SSG, backing off right when they needed to and leaning on that intel of the pulse to be able to guide them through that entire round. Beautiful stuff, but we're already headed into round 9, and it just seemed as though the engine stalled out there for TSM. Those deaths continued to trickle, and there was no band-aid to be able to stop that. So now for TSM, they're going to be headed towards Armory Throne for their offense here. At least attacking wise, we are going to be seeing the castle brought, and we'll wait for the 6th pick to see if they go with it once again off of this. But this time it's actually not going to be Rampy. It's going to be Canadian. You see 6 picks for the Jaeger over to the Valkyrie. So we're not going to have any throwable utility, well, denial at least, brought by the defense, which could possibly be a bad thing. But we'll have to see exactly how this goes. That means all this throwable utility you guys see on the right-hand side of your screen is all confirmed. Every bit of it. All the stun grenades, all of the frag grenades, everything. It's all there.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Important to note, the change up to the operator lineup could mean we're going to see a much more site-centric hold coming out on this round from SSG compared to the very roam-centric playstyle that's been used by both SSG and TSM in all of the thrown rounds prior to this one here. Take a look at how things look once it's fully set up here to get a better picture of how exactly they're going to play this. Thinking it, of course, on the Mira too is definitely a big change up to this. We'll see where exactly those are going to get positioned to help the game here from SSG. And it actually looks like it may be utilized for the roam game. They're going to put one mirror up here to try and help things out. And yeah, it's going to go right over here on the office softball, looks like, to try and help out against the cafe push.
Well, Merc has a drone underneath the vending machine here in the hallway, so more than likely going to be seeing a west to east clear, but that seems to be, at least for the most part, what SSG are expecting. They're playing the center of the map, just trying to adapt to whatever TSM wants to do. I'm really liking this setup with the Mira window upstairs and these 2 members here as well. So drones now spinning up for TSM as they're clearing out this western side. It's Merc on entry once again, but what else would you expect? He's got the R4C in hand, one of his most notable operators, but Canadians lying in wait underneath. We'll have to see if there's a nitro cell. We see the Valkyrie cam up in the corner, and they're playing off of it via intel. You can see it's blue. Merc tries to sprint in, and hey, what a bait by him. Reads right into the situation, knows that flooring is soft. More than likely seen that quite a few times in scrims.
Not going to get tricked up by that one, but there is a massive hole in the floor now where he has to watch out for fireback coming in from the Valkyrie. Immediately recognizes the camera too, so good immediate intel coming in from TSM there to help out. He'll make it through. There's not going to be any resistance put onto it from the other side by Canadian there, so now they're going to see that this mirror window is positioned on the inside of office, and that's where things get a little bit harder. On top of that, Canadian does return, I think, to that top-down floor. Oh, no, he goes to a completely different position. Excuse me. He's way over here top dragon now, and he's able to take out Chala.
I think that guy's got the Nike boosts on. He's sprinted all the way across the map.
I know, he was like in lab a few seconds ago. I was like, when did he rotate over here?
Oh man, he's powered by woos. Oh my god, Merc with a wide swing onto Rampy, but Rampy's ready for it. Immediate headshot takes out Merc, and what else would you expect from this world champion? We saw his patience yesterday on Coastline, but this time it's all aggression all the way. That's the TSM still droning things out, but SSG is just adding insult to injury at this point. This roam clear is not going well. SSG throwing the book at him, and including nitro cells. Downs Geo, diffuser kit now down as well, but Achiev's going to be able to pick him up. Geo now only down to 20 HP, but Bolo also gets a big pick here. This could help them out with this roam clear.
And Canadian's going to get pinched there too as trying to return to the site, but the very same player Achieve with a good hold there, able to isolate out some of these angles on top of the Bolo hold back over at lower 90. That's kind of brought TSM back into this game. A very arduous roam clear, but it does eventually kind of work out, although definitely losing more players than I think they would have asked for out of that one. On top of that, Geo is just barely alive right now at 20 HP. Thankfully, he gets revived, as he very much needed those X-Kairos charges to open up the yellow angle to get themselves in. Rampy comes back into the fold, though. He finds the next pickup before finally retreating downstairs. He'll take out Achieved in the process. Now going to start to wrap onto Bolo. And Geo here, already taking down Geo. That's the diffuser gone. Bolo wouldn't even really have had time to go retrieve it, let alone the capability to get all of those kills. So it's yet another round going into the hands of SSG as they push up to map point.
Extremely impressive stuff from SSG, and specifically Rampy in that round. Just all over the map alongside Canadian. Obviously, Canadian getting picked up midway through there, but obviously the highlight of that entire round has to be that roam game from SSG, viciously shutting down TSM. They weren't even able to get anything going on site. They eventually got the wall open, but only one man was allowed inside, and he just sprinted over to Furnace to try and play things safe, eventually getting killed. All of a sudden, we're at map point here. 6-3 split between these two right now as SSG is trying to shut it down on Bunk.
Bandit gonna end up getting 6-picked in here as well to try and hide the extra wall reinforcements, or potentially the more aggressive playstyle that we might see out of the Bandit if he's not going to be actively tricking. Might be more than likely that situation, as it's very similar to how TSM also were utilizing him. And I think SSG as well brought him in at least, well, once possibly on an earlier round. Memory's not too great on that. But either way, setup for the site besides that should be pretty straightforward, especially with a Mira in play here, is going to give SSG quite the capability to have a bit of an extended hold for themselves, along with one closer to the site, if they set it up in a similar fashion to how they did in the previous round.
Well, they're going to be bringing the Mira once again. Be playing that inside of Bunk in towards Daycare, and we'll see where the other Mira goes down. And actually, it's going to be extended vision here, as they're going to put them directly in line with each other, so you'll be able to look through the other Mira via the other Mira. Isn't that impressive? Thinking nade, and the rest of the squad now. Still a few reinforcements as TSM is let out of the gates. It seems that they are going to be handling things similarly to how we saw SSG with splitting up their operators throughout the map. See if they can possibly catch somebody off guard with a pinch or something along those lines.
Bomb located by attackers.
Bolt's potentially going to contest against this window play here if Geo decides to go the full distance up. Looks like he is going to roll up towards it now. Very delicate duel here for both players, depending on who is going to be the aggressor out of this one. Oh, and there you go. Geo fires the first shot, ends up being a mistaken one, as Fultz immediately locks on to where that fire is coming from, fires back, and takes out the only hard breach on TSM.
That might have been the worst operator to peek that window with. The only hard breach on your entire team is dead within the first minute, and now TSM are stuck to trying to get entry kills and trying to funnel into this site. And as we've seen from the SSG setup, that's not going to be a good time. But they do have Bolo now on the G8. Everyone touting him as one of the best G8 players in the world, if not the best. And they're definitely going to need his best here to be able to get inside.
Means a lot for the folks on SSG with the elimination of him. Achieved, however, the nice find, a very well-placed nade to catch the trade and take out Rampy. Still going to leave Fultz alive, though. It's not an exact trade, but gets the job done anyway, and takes out a smoke, arguably just as important of an operator for delay potential as it is Geo's hard breach there. So, tit for tat. SSG will have to fight without their smoke now. Thankfully for them, with hard walls secured, or reinforced walls secured, excuse me, they're still going to have quite a bit of aggressive capability, as they don't have to worry about additional angles being opened up on them. on the inside of the site. Really just the two outer soft walls over here from bunks is the only thing they would have to be careful of, since obviously there's quite a bit of soft breach. Bolo finds the next pickup and Achieve with another nade kill. He's 2 for 2 on this round with those. Very well played. This time he takes out Foltz. He gets the real trade on the only loss the TSM have taken so far. And now everything is going to fall to Bosco and Thinking Nade. Thinking Nade under some heat right now too, so even he may not be alive for much longer.
And TSM seemingly not needing the hard destruction. Might as well lean on the grenades of Achieved as he goes 2 for 2 on those. Stun grenades in now, almost blinding Thinking Nade, but he actually ends up killing Merc. They already know where last is. Problem with the shotgun, but not accounting for Achieved to his right-hand side. That's going to be a triple for Achieved off the round, but 2 kills off of utility usage, and that's exactly the kind of play they needed after that initial entry there, or the initial death, excuse me, from TSM. But they still need 2 rounds to be able to push this to overtime. We'll have to see exactly what they'll have to be playing into. Overall, though, very good round. A nice adaptability there from TSM, utilizing their utility more to break down the site than that hard destruction, using Merc underneath to be able to get rid of the Mira play. There's a lot of good things going on.
Yeah, great to turn the break room hold against the defenders right there, as SSG were relying pretty heavily on that, especially with the Mira setup, in order to pick up some kills, and obviously that got turned right on its backside due to the very well-placed grenades from Achieved coming out of that round, and we can hopefully expect more of that in the future. Lab's going to be the next site for SSG to try to close this map out on. As Stokes already mentioned, there is 2 more chances for SSG to win out this first map in regulation. Otherwise, it's going to go to OT in those 3 additional rounds in order to figure out who's coming out on top of this one. Very similar operator lineup for TSM. Pretty much the same thing can be said here for SSG, with obvious adjustments per site as needed. Instead of the Mira, for instance, we're going to end up with Canadian, and instead of a smoke, we've got a mute.
Well, Geo not having the best time here on Theme Park. Currently 1-1-10, sadly enough, but he has been rocking the hard breach, obviously, with the diffuser kit. Just not able to win out his ones, and sometimes it's just how it goes. SSG now headed towards Lab and have an upstairs hold, but that's exactly what they're going to need. Canadian back onto the pulse. The previous round that we saw them play this, it went extremely well for SSG, able to get a lot of kills early on and slow down this push from TSM. TSM not bringing the Capital this time. They put Bolo back over onto the EMP man, Thatcher in play, so more than likely going to be able to get rid of quite a bit of utility.
Bosco going to start to swing up towards those top arcade stairs now that they do have a pretty good idea that it looks like TSM are going to try to execute through Cafe. Not just him that'll be in position there. You've also got Rampy potentially to swing from the inside of Office or Top Yellow. He's playing Top Yellow before, so I believe he's playing from the inside of there instead of Office. We'll double check that. Thank you very much. They do have the double reinforcement over on the Office wall, so yeah, they wouldn't be able to play to the inside of the Office hold as TSM was often doing against this type of push in the previous half. Rampy obviously going to be more exposed by that, but also a bit more secured from any potential Dragon and Cafe pushes if TSM really wanted to split push this on a
This is a powerful spot that Rampy's playing here at the top of Yellow. He's already destroyed quite a few drones. They know his presence here, but this is the beauty. He's able to rotate safely throughout the map, specifically through the waiting room area. Getting aggressive, they were ready for him. Pre-fires for the top of Dragon, but doesn't find much. Canadian on the other end, though, takes down Achieved inside of Gong. I don't exactly know where that corpse is, and actually, no, it is inside of Gong room. He just tried to go in right through the double. I'm assuming Achieved sledged it, had that hammer out, and Canadian was just sitting with open arms, but actually, no. Canadian actually did take some damage inside of that engagement, so just ended up winning it out with the ump.
Great intel from SSG right here, because they were fully focused on stopping the Cafe push, and as soon as TSM started to rotate over to the other side, SSG also was able to get info that was happening somehow as well. So that's when you saw, Rampy go for the sprint over there, and I believe we had the same exact thing happen by the player that picked up the initial kill as well on the inside of Gong. So some really heads-up play at the moment from SSG. The player that got the initial kill, though, is now dead. Challa finds the trade on that one, and is hungry for more. He'd right to keep looking at Top Dragon over there, too. But there is going to be a potential rotate from SSG coming in to try and pick up the trade against Challa. We'll see if that's going to be successful or not. But in the meantime, TSM are inching closer on the first floor to charting this entry onto the site. They still have some roamers to deal with, though, so this is going to be a very, very dangerous push if they don't deal with those players from SSG that are still out and about right now.
Yeah, sadly, it's looking like too little too late, as Rampy's existence is still here. And as we've seen prior rounds with his roam game being allowed, he's able to get these late flanks in that just put the last fork that you need inside of the round in order to make sure it's done. 20 seconds remaining. We still need this diffuser on the ground as Once again, Rampy still on this roam game. Drops down towards Split. Still waiting to see if anybody could possibly rotate towards him. Geo and Shaw, the last two alive. Big pickup here for Geo as he tries to enter the building, or enter the site rather, but Thinking Nate able to clean that one up. All down to Chala here, but he's got two to find with minimal time, and it's a shotgun blast from Thinking Nate to shut down TSM on this very last round of Theme Park.
SSG takes solid control, tearing apart the anti-roam in massive fashion. And with that, they're going to be able to claim control of our first map here on Theme Park in 7-4 fashion. The map is going to be coming up after this one, folks, is going to be Villa. That will be TSM's pick, a comfortable pick for them, but at the same time, it is also a very comfortable map for SSG. I'm personally expecting it to be an incredibly close-fought affair, but obviously, it's do or die now for TSM. They have to pick this one up to take us over to Coastline for that decider.
Yeah, going to be a very difficult Villa for them. As you said before this series even started, John, this is one of their favorite maps, and this might be the initiation that they need in order to get the ball rolling, especially after 3 maps in a row not going their way.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us for the time being. We're going to go to a short break, and when we do return, we'll have the analysis test breaking down the first map and getting us ready for map number 2. There's more Major right after this, folks.
SSG defeating TSM on Theme Park 7-4. SSG looking extremely dominant, playing like the all-star team that they are. Veli, I want to talk to you about their history as of late. It's really been a wild ride for them. I want us to start all the way at SI, so take it away.
It even goes before SI, right? You know, you and I, we were at USN.
Yeah.
I also watched the OGA pit land where SSG, they started to become the best team in the world. But the thing was, Jackie, when you, Jesse, and I got together on this desk for the beginning of this season, we all thought Spacestation Gaming were just gonna simply not just run through everybody, but be the outright best in this league, and that nobody was ever gonna touch them. Well, lately, we've seen some weaknesses coming from SSG, whether it's inconsistent gameplay coming in from some of their star players, slow gameplay coming in, and also that loss against Oxygen. But this win against TSM was just so powerful to me because it looked like Spacestation Gaming, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse and Jackie, but it looked like they were in control throughout the entirety of this one.
Oh my gosh,
For sure.
Totally dominating. I just think that they've had such an interesting story with a lot of rises and falls, but right now definitely on the rise. And Jesse, I know specifically with map 1, you were really impressed with SSG's attacking efficiency, and lo and behold, here's our stats.
Yeah, I mean, Spacestation Gaming, they win this map, they keep their perfect record on Theme Park, that's big for them, and a lot of that did come down to the attacks. The coordination was just really strong. You'd have always 2 people roam clearing and 2 people like going forward with drones, right? So you'd have Faults and you'd have Rampy pushing through the charge, they're just clearing the map, they're running through it, and then behind them they've each got a drone. Canadian's droning for one of them, Thinking Nate's droning for the other, and they're just making such good usage of that early part of the round. They're getting those kills on TSM when they were, getting pretty aggressive on that roam, and when there's not, they take that free ground and they don't have to waste too much time. So Space Station had clearly practiced that a bunch, and their attacks on this map are similarly like one of the big reasons why they're so good on Theme Park. So Space Station, I thought, had a lot to bring to the table on this map, and they really did make it their own.
And we also got a peek at TSM statistics there. And Veli, I want to talk about TSM a little bit with you, specifically their defense. Talk to me about their roamers. Not playing well in this map. Yeah.
All right, before this map even started, right, I said SSG, in order to win, they have to attack TSM's roamers the same way Dark Zero did. And boy, SSG, they clapped him pretty hard. There was a random particular at the beginning of the game where it seemed like TSM had just all roamers and just Chala left alone on the site, right? But no, they had 3 roamers, and then they also had Maestro and Play that also roamed later on to help out his teammates. But the thing was, once Space Station spent about a good minute and 40 seconds droning everything out and setting their plan, they attacked one by one. It all started off with Folks. He tucked Merc in the bed for a good night. Then after that, you saw 4 players drop immediately, leaving Chala all alone. That was pretty bad. Now, if you're going to have a roam game like that, everyone has to be shooting right. They were close together to get the refrags and trades, but it just never happened.
Yeah, and I think like really the problem was on a lot of those rounds, the roamers were way too like individual. You know, they were taking 1v1s instead of ganging up on these attackers. And when Space Station, you know, they're only throwing one player at you. Let's say they're throwing Rampy at you. Rampy's got a drone in front of him, and you as a roamer do not. And so you're at a huge disadvantage there. If they're playing with each other more, working on those angles, making sure, okay, you're covering this one, I'm covering this one. If I go down, you trade me. That roam would have worked a lot better for them. So I think that's something that they could work on for sure.
Okay, and we have been monitoring the play of a couple players throughout the day, and we've been closely looking at Bolo and Fultz, and we have their stats up right now. But, you know, Jesse, sound off here on both of these players. I know Rampy also really stood out to you today, too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big map for Rampy. It was a big map for Fultz as well. Both those players came in big. I believe they had the two most amount of kills on their teams. So big round, and again, that was because they were working together. You know, they were filling a lot of the same roles, particularly on attack, because there is just sort of that like two-person presence needed on the roam clear. And they both executed very, very well. That's not to take away from the support players that also had a big impact on that round, but they just aren't the ones getting the numbers on the stats boards, right? So, no, Fultz played amazingly. Bolo's on our screen now as well. Pretty good cost, even better than what Fultz put up. 82% is really good for 11 rounds on Theme Park. And even on those kills and deaths, with how like good this map looked, particularly through that first half for Space Station Gaming, those are better stats than I think most people would get in a situation like this. So that's still credit to Bolo. I think he's back.
And once again, we have to say, Fultz is an absolute problem on Maestro. Even in that 1v4 where it looked like he had no chance, he still had a chance. That was pretty insane.
For sure. And I think, like, even bouncing off of more players on Space Station, if I can go back to Rampy for a second, I was really impressed with how he was able to, on the roam himself, we talked a lot about them roam clearing, but on the roam, Rampy was like staying really elusive and going for a lot of rotates. That did a lot to help out Space Station Gaming in the last half of that map when they were on that defense. Fultz had a few really impactful rounds where he got a bunch of kills.
Yeah,
Rampy, excuse me.
No, Rampy and Fultz both looking very sharp, and that transitions into our community poll question, which the results are in. Who will clutch up and take their team to the grand final? Fultz, Bolo. How do you think everyone at home voted, gentlemen?
They
Bolo's the
voted
most
for Bolo.
popular player in
Come
NA,
on.
so yeah.
Okay, actually, Bolo, this isn't a surprise, 63%. Fultz, 37%,
Okay.
but that was a little bit closer than I anticipated, to be honest, so there you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Our community
But
poll.
at the end of the day, yeah, the map that was won was really who won it all, including the poll.
Also, big fan of my laptop here. Big thank you to Predator. This has just been so helpful while working today. I have this like flip screen, and like I can move stuff around on my computer. It's very convenient. Jesse's smiling because his laptop is on the way, hasn't arrived yet. Veli's a big fan of his Triton 500. I got the Triton 900 and the Helios 700. It's gonna get there, Jesse. It's gonna get there.
Hopefully. But you know what the thing is? I hope it gets there in time. The reason why I really like this is the fact that we travel a lot for work, right?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
We
bored
used
on
to.
a lot of those flights. When we went back and forth to Poland, that was like an 11-hour flight. I wish I had one of these back then.
Yeah.
So, you know, shout out to Predator.
Yeah, so Predator working on giving Jesse a big upgrade from his graphing calculator. I can't wait to see the stats he'll be pumping out after that. But all right,
Oh, yeah.
I digress. It is time for predictions, everyone. All right, Jesse, how you feeling? I'm going to put you in the hot seat first.
I mean, I said at the start of the series, I think this theme park would be the easiest to predict. I thought that should go Space Station. You know, now is when the challenge starts for TSM. They probably, like, this is going to be the best shot. They go to Villa. Villa's still a very good map for Space Station. So, you know, TSM kind of, based on the map pool, had to pick a map that was going to be more neutral, not favoring them super heavy. I'm going to keep going with Space Station. I thought their play was strong. I have no reason to flip my vote. But now is when we see TSM having a better opportunity, and they're going to have a better chance to win some of these matches.
Okay, Veli?
I looked at the chat last time I said this, and it was hilarious because it was so true. All
Yeah.
the little chat room idiots that were like, "Oh, Veli hates TSM," even though they still know they know I don't hate them. I'm gonna rock with Space Station still. They're in complete control on theme park. I didn't see a scenario where they would lose that. They're gonna ride that momentum. Fultz and Rampy definitely are gonna ride that as well. TSM, they don't look bad. They can still come back and win this. I just don't think they have it in them. So Space Station. All the
Are we
way.
thinking 2-0? Or we think maybe
Of
TSM.
course,
Okay,
Jackie.
all right, wow.
2-0.
All right, Space Station Gaming. Veli's saying 2-0. Jesse's going with Space Station Gaming as well. Tell us in the chat what you think. How's this going to go down? But
Yeah.
just a few minutes, folks. We're going to see map 2 in a second on Villa. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the second map between SSG and TSM. SSG taking swift control over their own map pick over on Theme Park. And now we get ready to jump onto Villa for our second map, which is TSM's map pick. The last chance as well here for TSM. They're down 0-1 in the lower bracket. So if they lose this map, they are out of the tournament in third place.
Yeah, it's going to be a hotly contested Villa between these two. Villa, a very strat-heavy map, and we have one team that favors it, another one that, well, is obviously known for their strats game. Between these two, especially on this last map, not the best showing from TSM. We need to see a revitalized version of them if they want to take their map pick.
I think a very interesting part of this map is also going to be the roam game. Both teams had small, I guess you could say on SSG side, both teams were having issues with trying to run an extended roam game. SSG was doing a much better job of trying to round that back under their control before the end of the map, though, where the issues with TSM persisted throughout their entire half. So that's something that obviously TSM is going to have to work on going into this next map. SSG, I think it's going to be the same for them, just to a much lesser degree. They're very much in pole position right now to take control of this series. All the answers at the moment, in my opinion, have to come from TSM, and we're going to see if they have the answers right now, ladies and gentlemen, as the second map is getting started. Like I just said, it's on Villa, and it is potentially the final map of this series, potentially the final map of the day as well. Let's figure out who's going to come out on top of it.
Well, let's get into it, folks. SSG on defense and TSM on offense. Should be a lot of fun. Let's see what our first offensive band's going to be between these two. Are we going to have anything unorthodox? Not off the start. Habana coming into the ban phase. Not going to have her played for Villa. Just trying to get those impact tricks to work just a little bit better. Other offensive bands going to be the Jackal. TSM wants to get rid of that, as SSG was able to utilize that quite often to get rid of that roam game.
Other than that, taking a look at any of the other bands that are going to come up here, Mira is going to be our first defender band, so things following a pretty usual trend there. I would expect the second defender band to fall in line with what we normally get out of this map. Normally the defender bands don't stray too much from the meta right now. It's the attacker bands where things are a lot more open, and that certainly seems to be the case. We'll end up with a very normal Maestro band as our final one.
You can't blame them in that regard. It's either going to be Echo or Maestro. It's more or less pick your poison. And for all intents and purposes, personally speaking, I would lean towards the Maestro more just because of the gun and how annoying those bubbles can be to get rid of if you don't have the utility, if, you know, obviously someone's died early on or what have you. So with Echo, it's a little bit easier to deal with his Echo cam or his yokai cams, especially on a map like this where there is a lot of soft destruction through the flooring. IQ can be utilized. There's so many different ways to be able to handle that, but obviously he can still definitely be a nuisance.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the first round here and see what exactly we are in for on our Villa map. Take a look at SSG, see how they are going to try and come out on top of this one. They get a defensive start as well here on Villa, which if things are going to go very similarly to how they went back on map number 1, could play out pretty well into their favor. Like I was saying in the pregame, a lot of this comes down to how the roam game is going to present itself. And hey guys, you see that at the top of your screen? We've got some new Pro League sets available in the game. Make sure you're going in to check those out. They're very cool. And for a limited time, a percentage of the proceeds goes to all of your favorite pro teams. Make sure you're jumping on that opportunity while it's still there.
Yeah, make sure you guys get those purchased. That way everyone can give you compliments on your skins inside of those kill cams. We all know you guys get those entry frags like TSM is going to need right here. Good roam game setup here from SSG. Got the Jaeger will my combo getting rocked as well, and the castle barricades as well. So SSG setting things up properly here on defense. I have to see how TSM wants to handle this one. They haven't had the best luck when it comes to roam clearing, but as we've seen from SSG, specifically on the last set that they played on this map up against Oxygen, it was a slow start for them, letting Oxygen get 4 rounds, but then firing immediately back and ended up actually taking Villa.
See TSM continue to play this out very slowly. SSG still doing some setup here as well. Fultz is going to position himself in the spot just outside of Astra there to see if he's going to be able to get anyone's peeking over towards Skylight, but probably not going to happen. Very rarely do we see that position being taken. So with that being said, Fultz will feel much safer to start swinging out. Take a much different position, a much more aggressive position, potentially against the players that are trying to hop into Master here too. He's smart to pull back on that one though. That's going to be maybe asking a little bit too much of himself to try and come out of that one alive, especially now with the extra breach happening on the inside of the closet and TSM starting to move forward with the clear here.
Well, TSM still good on time, as they're just about to hit the halfway point, and usually that's the time where you can start sending roamers back or getting a little bit more aggressive, but it's actually going to be TSM to falter first here. Achieve now dead. Nitro Cell upstairs does a lot of damage to Bolo as TSM is all over the bathroom master side of the map. Still plenty of utility to be had and plenty of info game from Canadian downstairs. They're going to remove Bolo, but he's only been downed. 20 HP will be exactly what he has when he is picked up, but it seems that they haven't been able to. Well, actually now they're able to finally secure him. Just worried about that vertical play.
Hard breach is going to be used to get them access, safe access, I should say, to the statuary room. And with that, they'll be free to do a little bit more reconstruction inside of that room itself to hopefully present some options for TSM to get a couple opening picks against the SSG roster. They're going to need to get through this process relatively quickly. Only 47 seconds left on the clock here, so there's not a lot of time for TSM to set up. They have to go fast. They need to get into position to execute very quickly in the next, I would say, 10 to 15 seconds. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at a round where they could very easily get locked out by just the standard hold from SSG. Big part of them getting access here is that hard breach, which goes off to the inside of a laundry without too much resistance. Now they've got a much cleaner path to hopefully warp themselves to the inside. There is counter reaction coming in from SSG that you still have a player over in living room, and that player could pinch pretty aggressively against this if they're not careful. Bolo with a nice find though, eliminates one position of that pinch by taking out Fultz, and hopefully makes things a lot better for TSM to try and work their way out. That time issue is starting to become a problem once again though. The first attempt to plant immediately denied. Bolo does sneak off another kill from up on top, but is it enough? Doesn't seem to be the case. The bomb is dropped yet again, and SSG do eventually close it out on the timer.
Just too much intel there from the defense. If you guys saw it, Canadian ended up rotating downstairs to play out with the cardiac sensor to get all of that intel needed to shut down the entry from TSM. Bolo had a lot of kills there, but it was just not enough. The resurgence of SSG inside of the site ends up bagging them that round. Nice roam clear from TSM, but again, was all in vain. We're headed towards Trophy Statuary Room to see if SSG can link rounds together. We're going to have a very similar setup here. We're more than likely going to be seeing that Jaeger will might combo for most of this map. Echo finally showing face here as well. And we're actually going to have a 6-pick for Canadian. 6 picking away from the Kaid, picking up the Clash. Not too worried about the wall denial. The Kaid really wouldn't have helped anyways, but oh, this is actually very big. 6-pick away from the Thatcher as well, picking up the IQ. So don't know exactly if they thought about it and were obviously saying, oh, well, they're more than likely going to 6-pick off of the Kaid. He's not a very good pick into Thatcher. So let's put Bolo on IQ, be able to find some of these electronics as well as a pretty damn good gun.
Definitely a good read from TSM, but it still means they're going to have to go up against a very annoying setup here from SSG, even beyond the Clash. Echo has the capability to really get in their way, and that's on top of both of the utility drain operators as well, between Rampy and Bosco there. So all of their flash is going to need to be used for the most part here in order to get them access to the site and try to land some of these frag grenades on either Canadian or another player in order to make this push a lot easier. A big portion of this is going to be based on where Canadian wants to play the Clash, and specifically where he's going to look to delay. Let's take a look at where TSM is going to approach this. That'll probably dictate Canadian's playstyle quite a bit too.
I completely agree with you. We'll have to see if he's just going to mainly focus on Master, but again, as you said, it's going to really vary as to how TSM wants to handle things here. Seems as though they will set up one member of TSM on the Wolf Hallway there right off of Trophy. Hopefully could find some success if somebody wants to rotate out, but SSG has been playing pretty close to the chest, not giving up too much. But with Canadian here, they are going to be able to get quite a bit of intels. A drone game from TSM runs in through Master, clears out the closet, and they also have Merc and Achieve downstairs, more than likely looking for what could possibly be anything from a Nitro cell or a Pulse.
Alright, got some breach working its way underneath of the floor panels here as Merc is going to take a position on the inside of Kitchen here. Able to utilize that, trying to see if he can open up anything else. Achieved is also going to be playing with him, so quite a bit of top-down destruction here to hopefully make getting the wall knocked out a little bit easier, on top of potentially making Canadian's playstyle a little bit less comfortable for himself. Thankfully, he's got a good amount of flooring right now, which is going to be indestructible for himself, so as long as he doesn't need to move away from that specific area, he should be in an all-right position. More nades being chucked out at the moment, but not finding much success with getting all that damage in there. You see a couple chunks on Bosco and Thingy Nade, but besides that, obviously no kills.
No exothermic down in the bottom right. Do they still have impacts to deny? They don't. Thinking Nade fresh out of those. Have to restock later on, but definitely not going to be in this round. Have to drive all the way back to base to pick those up. SSG still looking spry though, rotating their echo cams and everything else to be able to stunt TSM. Need to be able to prevent this plant from going down. Still plenty of utility to be had, especially with Canadian still on the field. 0 damage dealt to him. Doesn't seem like they really have a means to get rid of him either, especially with the Wamayan Jaeger combo in play. All the secondary utility for the most part has been burnt through.
See Achieve trying to line one up. Brute starts the clock on it. Unfortunately, he's missed the timer on this one in a big way, so once again, no damage going to be found, at least not nearly the damage that he was looking to get from that one. However, it does open up the possibility for TSM to start swinging towards Astro, which is a benefit in itself. Bosco ultimately will start to shut this down, however, as Bolo is going to be the first to fall on one of those swings, but he's also traded with a good position from Chala being taken just over on his own swing to the inside of Master Bath. Now, contesting the Clash, obviously, is going to be very careful on this one, and in the other fight, Fultz and Achieved will trade blows with each other, leading to the death of Merc, and obviously Fultz brings us down into a 3v3. Geo with another entry being made gets them access to Trophy and can start the plant, but Geo's incredibly low. One stray bullet will take him out. The problem for Rampy, he doesn't have the capability to swing in here right now. Achieve gets another kill. Rampy still not feeling the capability to swing into the site himself, and because of that, he'll be punished. Achieve rolls out once again and picks up the final kill. That's the immediate trade on the round from TSM to put it up to 1-1.
Beautifully done from TSM. Very good time management as well. Nice entry, taking over Astronomy, which seemed to be their only saving grace inside of that round. It was hotly contested inside of Statuary. Nice rotation from them. Great entry from Merc as well up those Astronomy stairs. So, for now, SSG is going to be shifting sites. Don't want to go back to Statuary Trophy, as TSM seems to have the keys to the castle on that one. Aviator Games up next for them, and we're still going to be rocking that Jaeger Mai. 6 pick for Canadian away from the clash, just showing face once again, but has other tricks up his sleeve. We'll have to see if it's possibly the ace with this Valkyrie. A little bit more intel game here, but we have been seeing the IQ play a lot here from Bolo, so that could be all in vain, especially with that Echo in play. This is a lot of electronics that he's going to be able to get rid of. There's so many spaces on this site specifically that Bolo will be able to work from underneath and get rid of ADSs, my discs, and what have you.
So, usual setup to start things off here with regards to the aviation hold, including that extended shield from Rampy right there. Fultz, of course, going to assist him with the double ADS. That's 4 grenades that Rampy doesn't have to worry about, and he can probably make it 6 with 2 of his discs that he'll more than likely try to throw out once the round begins. Could be more than that, too, so it just all depends on how much Rampy wants to secure himself and how much he wants to potentially save for later on in the round to throw on the site.
Beautiful setup here from SSG. Rocking the main stairs setup with the shield as well as some ADSs. More than likely going to have some intel here to be able to slow them down. Canadian putting a slightly risky cam inside of Study, but obviously TSM is going to need to flip open that IQ gadget in order to find that, unless they are able to use their own vision. But TSM already clearing out downstairs, and this is exactly what they needed to do. Get some pressure down here, make it to where these rotations from SSG, even if there isn't any, are very difficult. So, almost a beautiful shot there from Rampy as he's dancing back and forth with the piano wall. TSM still having presence over towards this eastern side downstairs, and we're only 50 seconds in.
A lot of action potentially going to be happening soon here for very early on in the round, especially around that main stairs area that Stokes is just talking about there. Achieved just a little bit of final reconstruction here as he's going to smash himself over in the library. Not going to feel the need to push yet, but we will start seeing the discs begin to eat up pieces of utility, most notably a flashbang that was just chucked out there around those top stairs. You can see Bolo getting ready for the swing. He's obviously got to be very careful of the library hold here as well, but ultimately it's going to be Merc actually over here by Study that starts things out, taking out Fultz, even attributes himself a well played from his opponent.
That was one bullet in the head. That was a single tap. He could have killed him on literally anything in the game right there. That was extremely impressive from Merc. I don't exactly know where he died, but all I know is that he's dead, and that means that Fultz is going to have a bad time. Bosco now playing the top of main, still has those ADSs that they're going to have to burn through. TSM now worse for wear on this timer. Sub-minute 30. Are they worried about the man prone on the staircase? They are. Rampy gets one, but it's immediately traded back and forth. Bosco there to add insult to injury. Canadian finally working things out on a rotation, but he's only worked himself back towards site. TSM, last 2 remaining members at the top of main stairs. It's left up to the last remaining members of SSG as well, as we're on equal man count here, but 2 very important operators to have alive, specifically the Echo that can help them out quite a bit.
Mark waiting for his opportunity to try and go for a swing here. Time is going to start to get low, but in terms of siege time, still plenty of it to work with here. Only real negative is that Chal doesn't have a lot of that additional utility remaining. He's already deployed all of those air jabs, so nothing else to secure himself or Merc as they get ready to try and pinch from what looks like it's going to be 2 separate positions here. One going in from top red, the other one trying to go in through the bar door or Study as far as I can tell. So 19 seconds left. Looks like the push is going to begin. Thickenade already shutting down one of them with the elimination of Merc, and a quick swing to the left to find the last one as well. Thickenade with a fast double finishes off the round for SSG as they now claim the lead once again.
There was a lot of positive things from both squads here, but I think the thing that I want to talk about the most is that roam game from Canadian. Very intelligent, very, very high intelligence, excuse me, from Troy himself. Instead of going for that initial rotation downstairs, he instead chooses to play his life, rotates back towards astronomy, and rotates upstairs to help his team on site. You're not as good, dead as you are alive, so you'd much rather have that gun up, and he was actually down into that 2v2. If he had made that rotation and died, then obviously that would have been a much worse situation for SSG. Amazing round from them, and some good entry kills from TSM overall, just not enough when it came down to that 2v2.
Attackers need to locate and
Get ourselves back into the next round here. We're going to be heading
Did you read that? Clash player. Oh, man. He's not respecting the shield main, man. Come on.
Some good banter.
You see that, Valley? The shields don't matter. Just don't play shields. They're only allowed in competitive play. That's the only place. It's the only place.
Otherwise, it's
Not acceptable. If you play shields in ranked, you're the person I hate. I just want you to know that.
Don't hit the player, hit the game.
I know. Listen, I do that too. Okay, I'm more focused on the game when that happens anyway. I'm just like, why? Why? But no shields this time around for either squad, so it doesn't seem like we have too much of a talking point there. So we will shift things on. Still plenty of utility in the pockets of the defense as the rounds already started. So Rampy setting up ADSs to make sure that no one gets blown up from a grenade or stunned out. Well, this primary utility still being used by all of these SSG members. Still discs for Fultz, mute jammers for Bosco. There's a lot still to go on.
Fultz got pushed back pretty quickly last time on this hold, so I would expect the same if TSM are going to approach it with the same number of players they did on the last round clear here, back when we played the site initially. We'll see if he's able to potentially extend the duel, if at all, though. And he's not even going to be alone this time either. There's a pretty heavy commitment up here to the upstairs hold at the moment with both Thinking Nade and Rampy also assisting. Rampy, of course, watching for the trophy connector rotate, seeing if anybody's going to try to push from 90. And then Thinking Nade watching from the Astro route to make sure nobody tries to wrap Fultz from the inside of Master Bath. And so obviously, as you guys can see, Fultz really doesn't have a whole lot of vision on that department. So he does need a little bit of extra help to make sure that he doesn't get overwhelmed.
Well, nice presence here from TSM, but the bad thing is that it's going to be read out, and that's the power of the pulse. And we talk about it a lot, but hey, there it goes once again. That's actually a Nitro Cell from upstairs as Thinking Nade puts that right on the tee. Takes out Shala, and that's a huge one. Air jab's now gone, but seems as though they're going to have still plenty of utility to handle this. Nice peek from Bolo there to take down Thinking Nade. Masterfully done inside of the Spectation as well. Thank you so much, Cyan. Rampy and the rest of the SSG squad still alive and well, though, as they take down Achieved, and this is getting all the more difficult for TSM.
A lot of members of SSG being sent to the basement, interestingly enough, right now. So you've got two of their players, I think, roaming around there. Obviously, you'd expect the Pulse to be down there to the vision that he gets, but he's got some additional assistance as well. So we're going to need more than likely get that in position closer to the site, maybe wrap them back up through the kitchen stairs soon enough here, because it looks like TSM is getting closer and closer to their execute point as we inch closer and closer to zero time here. It's just a little bit more soft destruction, trying to give the members of SSG less and less room to play into. A good read into the strat right now is going to give Bosco the great potential to pick up an early kill. They know that they're going to try to wrap in for the hard breach, but unfortunately for Bosco, fails to read into that opening directly above him. So Bolo once again becomes death from above here. Finds an easy pick onto him, keeps the numbers a bit closer here as TSM, unfortunately, they're still fighting a man down, but a lot more palatable than that 2v4 they otherwise would have been dealing with.
Well, it's a 2v2 on site as Canadian's still downstairs, but as you guys could see, this is where things get very difficult. Geo gets a very big entry kill. This is exactly what they need. Bolo shifted away from the upstairs, and that's exactly what he needed to do, is he needs to be Overwatch. Rampy coming in from behind, but the door is still barricaded. See if Canadian has the intel that's needed to be able to assist them here. 2v2 into the post plant now. Very, very high on the timer. Still plenty of time to be had. Drone out to be able to assist them with some intel game if they can get it. Oh no, the pulse has been lit up now. Canadian dancing with death as it's Geo inside of sight on both ends. Is he going to be able to get the second one? Very low HP, but the ump can't do it this time. It's Bolo all over the scoreboard. A triple for him once again, but TSM able to claim the round.
Geo with just too much control over that post plant. Perfectly played by him to wait that out as long as possible, as well as getting some massive damage on the Canadian in addition to the kill he got, which sets up, of course, for the closeout into the 1v1 to be made that much easier. Once again, great play from Bolo on the top down as well there. Was doing a fantastic job of making sure that no one was able to get away in the event that they were flushed out by utility and sent into his crosshairs, watching all those top-down angles. He's been doing a fantastic job of that, and the same was done on the previous attempt to win that site, unfortunately with less success, but still that portion of it ended up being very impactful, just not enough to get the win.
Yeah, and as you were talking about, it's really been Bolo on these kitchen rounds that has made these even winnable for them. He's able to get so many picks from that vertical play. Granted, the kitchen area is very difficult to move through, as well as dining, obviously, when that vertical play is obviously being held. So we'll have to see if SSG has a counter for that besides just trying to slow him down upstairs. But for now, it seems to be the explosives route as 3 nitro cells are on the board. Last round, seeing quite a few trades up here, specifically inside of Astronomy. See if the battlegrounds be any different inside of round 5, but very similar setup here from SSG, and I don't see why they would vary at all. That last round coming down into a 2 versus 2 and just didn't fall on their side of the fence.
10 seconds to insertion.
All right, folks, another round, another setup here for SSG as they're getting closer and closer to losing this defensive half and flipping over to the attacking side here. I don't mean losing by points, but actually losing as they're not going to be on it anymore if anyone jumps on me. It's tied blue.
How dare you, John? How dare you? Hello, I'm a random guy that's going to tell you that.
I always have to clarify some of these things that I say mid-cast, just to, like, make sure no one freaks out over like a unfortunate word choice.
Listen, I am the king of unfortunate word choices. I know exactly what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna have Canadians starting things off on site this time instead of downstairs. But as you guys have seen, he's later transitioned to the basement to use this as more of an execution intel to help the defense in that regard. So we'll see if he follows similar courses here. Wamai as well as the Goyo upstairs for SSG. Slow beginnings here for TSM, not nearly as eccentric as we've seen prior.
Little rotate hold is being opened up to make the downstairs holds a bit easier. At the same time, the attackers are doing just the same. Merc opening up a very long angle to catch, well, what would have been, actually, never mind, I think it is on the basement stairs. Thought he was playing upstairs, but he wraps back around into the correct spot. Might have potentially gotten caught by that long angle there that Merc is currently trying to play into. Away from that, though, TSM once again keeping it very quiet at the beginning of this round. A lot of drone work still being done, of course, as you kind of expect within that first minute, 20 seconds or so, but that should begin to change now that we are getting closer to zero timer here. TSM will need to move into position to start executing, and it looks like they're not going to put as much presence on the top, at least to start. Might be doing a much more direct push this time and to try and get control away from SSG.
This is an amazing setup here from TSM. As you guys can see, they have Bolo as well as Merc holding the 2 rotations for the staircases that SSG desperately needs to get out of the basement. Their only avenue to leave right now is going to be red stairs, but Bolo's rotated away from pantry now, as he more than likely needs to get upstairs to play that vertical play again. It's been so influential throughout these kitchen rounds, but we still have plenty of site presence here. Nice read here from Troy as well. Get some good intel, but finally a kill happens from Merc, because he's been waiting for this one for a very long time.
Huge amount of patience being leveraged into that one. Canadian, though, going to be challenged, and he comes out the victor of not just 1, but 2 fights. Achieved and Bolo both go down. Merc also kicking some butt right now, though, as he's able to move in and take out Canadian. Finally trades that kill and puts us back on even footing. Down into a 3v3 here. All goes silent for the moment after that kill as both teams freeze up here. But it's TSM that needs to take action. They only have 25 seconds remaining, and unfortunately the first one to do so is going to be shut down by Bosco. Attempted the plant being made at least to start there by Geo. Going to get off that, though, to pick up a kill as he eliminates Thinking Nade. We're back down into a 2v2. Bosco had incredibly low HP, but thankfully Rampy's come in to save the day, but no longer. He's immediately traded out. Now it's all going to come down to time here. Merc has to commit himself to the plant, but no, he knows he's got his opponent low. He's going to try to go for the kill instead. He can't get it done, though. Bosco has the advantage on the angle, and more importantly, the M590 to get the job done. He's going to end it in the favor of SSG as they take round number 5.
That is the most disgusting man alive. I just want you guys to, I want everyone to know, Bosco is the most disgusting man alive. That was a ridiculous read by him to know that he would push through China or do anything of the sort off of that hot mark, and to transition back throughout the door, knowing where the vision was going to be from Merc all at the same time. That was so well done from Bosco. Hell of a read by him, and that's exactly why they're going to secure that round. Trophy statuary going to be the choice for SSG for their very last round on defense, so they're giving it up to the offensive side. TSM going to 6-pick away from the Thatcher, put Bolo back onto the IQ for this very last time.
Valkyrie is going to come into the play as well, which means that the IQ pick will be incredibly useful for quickly spotting out those cameras, deleting them, and removing that intel from SSG throughout the rest of the round. Setup again should be relatively straightforward here, especially looking at the operator lineup. I personally wouldn't expect anything too different from what you guys are used to when it comes to a trophy and statuary hold here. SSG are scrambling to try and get that 4th round onto the board so they can maintain a solid scoreline going on to the second half here. And as for TSM, they're fighting for close territory at 3-3. be very much in the same position, but on defense. And at 3-3, TSM would probably feel comfortable to call themselves kind of ahead there, assuming that they're going to be expecting themselves to have a good start on defense.
Yeah, looking back into that last round though, before we get too hotly contested inside of round 6, there was a lot of counterplays going out there by both squads. Most notably, TSM adjusting to hold the staircases instead of, you know, taking top control to utilize Bolo with the vertical play. And it almost ended up working there, as obviously it came down into a 1 versus 1, but SSG just a touch better. I really like what SSG did on their defense as well, keeping Canadian on site with that cardiac sensor, and he came up big inside of tarps as well. I mean, there was so many good things by both of these squads. It's very hard to pick and choose who obviously had the better counter there. But TSM already hot on the trail of SSG on this roam game. They know somebody has to have some presence down here, but this time it's going to be the Jaeger of Rampy.
Rampy going to open up a tiny little punch hole, or bullet hole in this case right there, to try and see if he's going to be able to catch anybody. Trying to get intel from the inside of the window there. Achieved in the meantime will start us off well for the folks on TSM yet again, as he's going to be able to find out Canadian before he can get any impact on this round and take him out. There was the opportunity for Rampy. Unfortunately, it is missed, and he's now going to run away. His tail tucked between his legs, try to hide for another fight, another day.
You can tell he's done that bullet hole once or twice, and only 2 bullets, and he's immediately lined up on the pantry door. But what else would you expect from professional players? Nice read there by him, though. Just Ash moving just a touch too fast, even for him. SSG still having a lot of presence side of astronomy. That's exactly what they're going to be needing to hold down. Nothing downstairs, at least for right now. We'll have to see if they try and rotate anyone. Rampy's still downstairs as well, all the way in the basement. Could possibly have a late rotation. He did a very good job of this on Theme Park, and I don't see why this time would be any different. Oh, very unfortunate.
Trick attempt from Thinking Nade, yeah. Doesn't end up working out there, as unfortunately it looks like it's a bit off the mark. So the hard breach attempt from Geo is successful. Second one potentially could still be thrown out too if they want to try and go for it here. But at the moment, there is a hold called on TSM's side. Trying to isolate out that player. I think that's the hold right now for Geo, and trying to put the second hard breach in. But it looks like the player who's in that position, Thinking Nade, has already been pushed back. Just spotted out there by the drones. They know he is holding over on that statue. Achieve going to go for another nade kill here as well. And it's not looking like he actually ended up throwing it, as I didn't see an explosion happen. Either that or just ended up completely missing and didn't impact any of the floor panels. Fultz will jump into the fray, though, as he's going to be able to pick up a kill, but immediately trades are found from TSM. Both Bolo and Merc picking up frags onto Bosco and Fultz. Just Rampy and Thinking Nade left in the fight here now. SSG don't have a lot of map control to work with. Aggression might have been the note in order to make this work, but so unfortunate. The timing for Thinking Nade looked away just when he was about to have a perfect angle onto one of the members of TSM. And on the exchange, he gets taken down with nothing to show for it. Same can be said for Rampy. He's also going to be eliminated relatively quickly here by Merc, and TSM will take solid control over the final round of the half.
Well, John, we're on the teeter-totter back and forth between these two squads. We'll have to see if switching sides has anything to do with it. But for that last round, masterfully done from TSM. SSG not able to get anything going on Trophy in their 2 attempts at the site. Only going to games once, and they actually ended up winning that round. So apparently feeling as though the Trophy defense could definitely work, but we're ill-advised.
Dining and Kitchen is the start point here for TSM's defense and SSG's attack. Obviously 3-3, not the end of the world for either team, but certainly TSM will be happy about that, given the usually defensive-sided nature of this map. You have a couple more 6 picks coming out, including a Lion onto Bosco and the Goyo for Geo.
All right, well, as we're waiting for the game to load up here.
Attackers need to locate and
1, 2. Okay, there we go. Now we can see stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Now we have stuff to talk about, chat. Here we go. We're going to have Fultz on the IQ this time around. No breaching charges, though. He's rocking the Claymore, which is a tad weird, especially with the Nomad on the board. So that's going to mean that the soft destruction game is all leaning onto Rampy. But we got something even more important to talk about. Bosco's on Lion, and that's an operator that we don't see too often. We see him mostly played on Coastline, mainly because the hard destruction and what you are required to have on Coastline really isn't all that much. It really does lean on your entry frags and your information game, and most notably, the information game is what Lion assists with. Everyone knows about this operator, even if you haven't played this game before. He's the man with the EE1D and a plan, and that plan is to find you and make it to where you can't move unless your name's Vigil, and since the defense doesn't have one of those, this could possibly be a pretty bad time for them.
I think this is like a pretty good choice from SSG, actually. There's been a lot of very awkward gunfights where players are like hesitating because they don't know the exact positions of their opponents or otherwise being forced out of otherwise safe positions. So I think in those chaotic moments, if the EE1D charge is leveraged right there, it could get a lot of very important info to SSG in the heat of the moment, you know, when you're like 5 to 10 seconds left on the clock too. So that information could prove itself to be very, very useful if it ends up working.
I was writing down a note real quick as well. Did they actually end up 6 picking into this line? Okay.
Yeah,
all right. I was just assuming that they would.
They
yeah.
hit it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, what that means, and the reason that I was asking is because they could have played their mute jammers just a little bit more defensively if they knew that the Lion was coming. But Lion is an operator that we really never see once again, unless it's Coastline. So more than likely not prepared for that first EE1D charge to go off, and that's what SSG want to utilize. They want to utilize this very first one to catch TSM off guard. We might see it right now. Here it comes off rip. Standing outside of the bathroom, but nothing comes of it. Still got a good drone game going on. Falls with the initial kill. On to achieve. That's the Jaeger already off the board.
The DMR as well there for the Lion, trying to hunt down the player on the inside right now. Oh, a nice find from the IQ. Does catch a player hiding out underneath. That's going to be Bolo on the pulse right here. Pre-fire also going on to Merc. That was the great drone intel that had gone onto him. You could see he was hunting out drones on the inside of Living Room just a few moments ago, and as such, they expect him to be pre-aimed on that window, and they get about half the HP off of him from the 2 shots that connect. Bosco takes some heat as well, but he's outside, so he's in a much safer position still.
We're getting down to a minute now, and SSG is going to feel slightly rushed. Bolo finally picking up a kill, and that's a huge one. Bosco now down. Those last 2 remaining EE1Ds are not going to be able to be used. Canadian also down and dusted as well, but the trades ensue. What else would you expect between these 2 squads? 3 versus 3 for the time being, but that could change at any moment in time. Finally, some soft destruction going on from SSG upstairs. Rampy swinging that sledgehammer as many times as he possibly can, trying to find some vision and possibly some picks if it can follow through. Nice adjustment here on site from Chala to be able to maintain his life, but well, we might possibly have a kill. Frag grenade and deals just a tick of damage to Chala as this execution is still desperately needed.
Thinking in faults, looking to work their way through from tarps, the inside of dining. They'll move their way in. They do catch that pre-placed nitro cell on the way forward. The player through it is probably long gone at this point. TSM initially picks off faults too on his attempt to re-swing back into the site. Oh man, they're just taking them out one by one here, as TSM is going to very quickly retake control over the site. Yes, SSG get in. Yes, they get the plant, but they barely are able to hold on as TSM pretty much immediately resumes control and takes control over the first round of their defensive half.
One of them threw a nitro cell on the floor right there. I'm very happy that he shot it. I'll just say that. Like that would have been the most unfortunate misclick I've ever seen in my entire life. All 3 of the members are just standing next to each other. You accidentally double press your secondary utility and blow everyone up, and then you lose the round. That would be very unfortunate, but not going to happen. So TSM headed towards Aviator Games this time around. Very nice defense from them on Kitchen. Delayed a lot of time. We're able to trade back and forth with SSG and keeping things on par. That's exactly what they needed to do while they waited for that execution. And they read perfectly into how SSG wanted to handle that. Peeking into dining at very, very opportune times. Didn't even lose a single man inside of that 3v3.
All right, guys, well, let's see how the next round's going to go here. TSM now with control, starting to feel a lot more confident with themselves probably as well here as they're going to inch closer and closer to enabling that 3rd and final map now that they have control over the lead here. At the same time, SSG are not a team to lose a map without fighting if we've seen them at all so far in this series. So it's time for them to wake up, time for them to start responding to this, get themselves back into the mix here, keep this game even. Otherwise, TSM could start to take control of things, especially on this site's defense over in Aviation and Games. As far as that defense is concerned, by the way, once again, got a lot of the same flair that we have seen in the past. The Goyo is an interesting mix of something that we don't always see. It's still a pretty common pick for defense on the site, though. From what I've seen, is it definitely adds quite a few shields and quite a bit of delay potential to the defenders that bring him to the table.
Especially in tandem with the echo and the smoke, there's so much delay at the hands of the defense here. Goyo shields actually last as long as the Toxic Babes of smoke, so they're 10 seconds each when they're popped. That's obviously a total of 20 seconds there, and then you put smoke on top of that with 30 seconds inside of his kit, and all of a sudden we have almost a minute's worth of time that you can possibly delay, all if chained. Remember, a lot of the times when it comes down to stuff, people will rotate out and wait and then rotate back in, so that time gets even more when you add that.
Yeah, it gets elongated quite a bit. The only way to counteract it is to look for alternative angles to get into the site with and hopefully use that to drain out the utility a little bit quicker. Away from that, folks, I'm just going to continue to start ticking down here. I've already got a couple members of SSG to the inside of the building doing a north to south clear from the other two sites that we just played against over in Trophy and Statuary. Everyone will clear out 90 here, so that'll be not marked as clear for the SSG roster to start moving towards. Merc is very patiently waiting to see if he can get a pick against someone who would jump up onto the study window, but there's very little action happening in that direction at this point, as I'm sure you guys can tell. Also important to note here, too, SSG still have the IQ in check, which means that at least one of these operators, being played by Bolo on the Echo, is not going to be able to utilize his utility as much as he wants to, especially off-site, as you just saw there, with one of them getting picked very quickly.
And this bad news bears for him. Having only one yokai means that preventability for the plant is going to be leaning more onto the nitro cells and the smoke of Chala. They're able to get that to work out. Only halfway through the round now as SSG's rounding 90 here. And they get the single panel. That's exactly what Canadian's going for. So could be quite an awkward take here as Bolo goes for the impact trick, and he's still going to have one more in his pocket as well. So again, they'll have to find alternative means.
Draining out a lot of utility and ADSs on the inside of the site, both on 90 and through the door leading into aviation itself. The Goyo shield will also be taken out too, so that delay tactic is now gone from TSM's arsenal. SSG are very much at the gates, ready to execute here. And on top of that, Canadian is going to make another attempt in order to get the breach open. Bolo with the trick attempt, and it is successful once again. Both of the hard breaches now gone from Canadian, and they did not bring a second one. So no capability to get the walls open. They're just going to have to push it outright from the two main entrances.
Not the worst thing in the world for that second attempt, as they can still go for the gun vault plant, but TSM's ready for that one as well. They've already shifted sites inside of study. They're also ready for thinking need to hop inside. Merc shifting inside of here, preventing quite a lot of the SSG push. This is exactly what we expected from TSM on their map pick. Just bullying this offense of SSG. Not able to find too much space. Merc swings for a double and sadly gets knocked on his butt, but it's all going to be left up to Rampy. He's just going to hold some angles as SSG discusses this. Now TSM, 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah, unfortunately there, as we saw from what we saw from SSG, was their inability to scout out what was on the inside of study due to the fact that they had barely contested it throughout most of that round. As far as I could tell, very little drone presence was there throughout the round, and as a result of that, Merc was left completely uncontested, just holding in there until finally he became relevant later on in the round, and it was a massive surprise to SSG, so he was free to just go off, picking up multiple kills, and for the most part, killing any chance that SSG would have had of making that round a success.
Jumping into round 9 now, though. Living room library picked up by the defense. The most unorthodox pick that you can possibly take here on Villa. One that we don't see too often, but we've definitely seen it before. We're also going to have the 6th pick for Bosco away from the Capital, picking up that Lion once again. We'll see if it's more effective this time around than it was the prior time that they ran it. They definitely need something to get this offensive engine running, because for right now, TSM is definitely running away with this.
Solid control on multiple sites, with multiple different disciplines as well here. They're going to work their way into the living room and the library next. Probably one of the hardest sites just due to how big it is. It's very hard to control either of them, most notably living room because of the play potential for the attackers, but some creative solutions that the defenders have come up with recently across multiple pro teams to be able to utilize that. There's going to obviously be the extended hold upstairs. A few other things that TSM might have up their sleeve too. Let's take a look at exactly what they're going to bring to the table here.
Well, TSM with this top hold, seemingly wanting to cause a lot of problems for SSG, picking up Merc on the Bandit as well to electrify these panels. And obviously, since there is no Thatcher, not going to be able to get rid of those all too easily. And they more than likely have to lean on Fultz for that, but they'd have to be in sight to be able to get rid of those. So they'd much rather just plant in that instance. Extended roam game here for Geo, but he'll hop immediately downstairs through the skylight all the way down to Red Hallway. We'll see if he can find some success as 2 drones coming inside of Kitchen. It seems as TSM knows exactly where this entry game is going to come through. Geo quickly scampering off towards the basement as he needs to play out his life.
30 seconds gone from the round, and we've got quite a few members of SSG looking to try and go for quick control on the inside of Kitchen. Rampy as well, keeping a drone downstairs, just in the event they are trying to utilize the pulse once again. It's been a very common thread for defenders on first floor sites of this map, and sometimes even second floor sites as well. They're not going to be able to find much at this point. There is presence down here in the form of Geo. Going to be over here on the Mozzie. He'll get spotted out a few moments ago just there, but not going to immediately react to it. Not going to try and rotate away from it. Doesn't feel too dangerous. This is a pretty safe position he's got himself in, and SSG are going to really have to go out of their way to kill him. He kind of probably wants to invite them in to a certain extent. Geo's going to come out on top of the first fight when it finally blooms as well. There you go. That's the reason Geo wants to invite them in. He's got a lot of space to work with, a lot of room to dictate how these battles are fought. And if he can do this even for another 30 seconds or so, even if he doesn't get himself another kill, this is still an overall successful play from Geo.
This is more than successful, John. Look at the drone economy right now, what he's done to it all by himself. They finally find him, but it's going to take 2 EE1Ds. But all of a sudden, SSG jumps ahead in man count. Big pickup there from Canadian, who capitalizes off Achieve getting a little too aggressive. Well, fake nitro cell there as Merc was trying to ping instead, but throws that on the ground, has to pick that back up. Still plenty of time for SSG to make this work, especially with this living room defense. Lots of room to be able to put a diffuser down, especially if they're able to isolate things out. Still plenty of guns up as well, only missing that one member of Fultz.
Canadian quickly wrapping himself into position to try and commit himself to the inside of the site, possibly going to take out the reinforcement just at the bottom of red as well. There you go. They're going to try and open that back up. But oh no, here comes Bolo. He's going to be able to sneak up right on, but Canadian gets the better of it. Anyway, beautiful read by Canadian as he once again catches a player trying to sneak up on him. That's the second time this round that this has happened. SSG in a great position now. 4v2. They still have to deal with the player's back sight, though. TSM have been very, very sneaky, very, very hard to read in this aspect. You still have a player upstairs that I'm just now noticing, too. Merc continuing to hold on the inside of Gun Vault. He's got free vision onto the player with the diffuser at the moment, and he's just waiting it out, just wasting the time. He has to be careful, though, to make sure to not have that happen. Can't waste his opportunity to actually get the kill, and even worse, he's now lost his only other teammate downstairs that could have confirmed it. Rotates were coming in, but the plan's been revealed. He comes out on top of the initial fight. Can he deny the plant? No, it's already on the ground. Merc's now alone in the 1v3 and has to try and find a way to clutch it.
Trying times for him in this 1 versus 3 with the diffuser down, as you guys just heard. Fights his way in through gallery, has 2 inside of sight, but it's going to be quickly done and dusted by SSG. Hell of a round from them on offense, and just very unfortunate for Merc. What he was trying to do is he was trying to lean on timer there with that trigger discipline to let the timer continuously tick down, and once the plant started, he was going to let Troy get near the point of actually putting the diffuser down and then just kill him to extend that timer on and on, since obviously if the timer hits 0, the defense wins. So it was a really good read by Merc there. Just very unfortunate that Canadian rotated away.
Yeah, unfortunate, like I said there, that he wasn't able to catch him as he was starting to rotate out. That was part of the plan too. Obviously, if he walks too far away, hey, I'll just kill him. I got the kill anyway, but reacted just slightly too slowly in order to get the actual confirmation. That's when things really started to go badly for TSM. Up until that point, they had a fight in that round with the capability to probably delay it down to 0 timer, not necessarily win out the 2v4. But once that diffuser had gone past, I think the moment to try and clutch out that round had also passed for the TSM roster. That's going to bring SSG back into the game, though, after a long streak of rounds from TSM. SSG are still behind by 1. But keep in mind, they have the series advantage with 3 more rounds in their pocket. They take this map and the series along with it, knocking TSM out of this game and of this tournament.
Out of the whole shebang. They can't do any more stuffs or things.
Whole major.
Yeah, they have to go home, even though they're already home. They just have to get up out of the chair. That's really it. If you really think about it.
They gotta go and watch the stream. That's what they gotta do.
Honestly, if I were them, I don't even know if I'd watch the stream after that. I don't know. I'm gonna be really honest. Like this stuff is very, very important to these people. Very, very important. I think you guys saw that yesterday. I don't know if anybody notated it or saw it, but if you guys saw the cameras after SSG ended up winning, you guys saw Rampy just with his head down, running his hands through his hair. You could tell the amount of stress that man was going through, and he was finally able to take the earbuds out, the headset off, and take a breath for the first time in a very, very long while. I can tell you, just sitting from my seat and watching these guys play, I can always feel that nervous knot in my gut when these things start to lean towards one side. Drones now in play, though, for SSG as they need to drone out this kitchen area. It seems like it might be a hard execute here as Canadian jumps immediately into pantry. They've got some different ideas, but obviously Bolo already on site with that cardiac sensor. They get the single panel, so they'll actually have some vision in here. I really like this setup here from SSG. That single panel allows access, or at least vision, in through kitchen, specifically to where Chala is playing. It's going to make it a lot more difficult to be able to prevent plants.
Bit of a risky move from Canadian, but it pays off in order to get the wall open and open up a new angle of play here for SSG to hopefully get themselves into a position to execute early, which has been part of the problem for both of these teams, of the capability for the defenders, as usual, the meta dictates it right now, to delay down basically until zero timer here. Once again, we can see the pulse being found out by the IQ. He's got to be careful of the fire back in the form, mainly of a nitro cell, though, so he's going to back away from that angle relatively quickly and put himself within the relative safety of the master bathroom shower.
And TSM has a lot of artillery on the board, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of any of that. 4 nitro cells that could possibly find their mark, and we already have assumingly one. Actually, no, different kind of explosive going off on the other end of the map. It seems to be a frag grenade from Rampy. Ended up exploding. Very first nitro cell hits its mark, takes down Rampy. The sledge is off the board. It's up to the rest of the members to try and break up this flooring. And with only a minute remaining, SSG not in the best spot.
Certainly not going to be able to easily come back from that deficit, especially if they continue with the slower paced play. Like Stokes had brought up, though, they do have that additional angle to work off of downstairs. They're not completely out of this one just yet. But once again, losing out on Rampy without much positioning elsewhere, and overall having to fight back from the 4v5 is definitely not the optimal situation for SSG right now, especially with the very explosive nature they've brought to the table for their executes. Here comes Canadian's attempt to open up the wall. Should go off without a hitch here. Both Gio and Bowler are going to get pushed back as well due to the additional pressure coming in from SSG on the top-down clear there. It also happened at pretty much the exact same time they were looking to open the wall. 20 seconds remaining, so execute should be coming up at any moment here. But again, the lack of intel is really going to come back to haunt these guys right now, mainly because, again, they haven't had the opportunity to explore it. 1-for-1 exchange. SSG find themselves another one. Bosco gets it. Do they have enough time in order to leverage it, though? Still 2 players alive for TSM. They've got the diffuser in their hands. Fultz is going to go for a plant. Unfortunately, fails to realize Bolo just on the other side of the room, who will quickly take him out when he tries to go for the plant. And as such, TSM take the round, get themselves up on the map point.
Oh, that might have been one of the most unfortunate things. Earlier on, we talked about that Twitter account, unfortunate events. That might be the best one that I've seen, where I'm going to go put a diffuser down and you see Pulse just laying next to the couch. Very, very unfortunate there for the offense of SSG, but beautifully done by Bolo. Nice little spot to find himself in. Very low HP as well, and that's exactly the opposite situation you want if you're going to take a gunfight. So you'd much rather try and play something cheeky. Ends up working out for him. Maybe at your games now for TSM as they try to close out Villa. SSG is going to have to be perfect throughout these next 2 rounds if they want to close it out in 2.
Do or die time now for SSG to try and find themselves at least one more round here to try and get them back into the fold. 2 would make it OT, as Stokes had just mentioned there. So let's see if they're going to be able to get this done. TSM continue to rotate their defense around. They're back up to aviation and games now. One of the more traditional sites, of course, that we've come to expect. SSG definitely came close to success the last time they attacked this one, but ultimately left a couple pieces of TSM's defense completely untouched up until the very end of the round. Most notably, Merc was hiding out on the inside of Study. And as a result of that, we're able to surprise the attack from SSG, which had to use Study as a last-second rotate. Took out the large majority of their push and left them without enough manpower in order to make sufficient enough progress to win out that round.
Well, I will give SSG this. No matter what, if there's still a man alive, they're going to attempt a plan. They attempt it almost every single round, unless obviously you're able to kill the entire roster before then. But almost every single one of these rounds coming down to somebody attempting a plant and dying. So very impressive stuff by them, but they need to be able to pick up these rounds. That's the thing. It's the initial entries that they've been pretty good on, but the time waste from TSM seems to continuously work out here. This is exactly why this is their map pick.
Round has begun. SSG out on the board, and it's looking like a north-south clear is on the agenda once again for them, as we've got quite a few players working their way over into Master and Astro right about now. Drones are also being thrown out. Thinking Nate and Canadian are on that duty, clearing things out up through the connector into split and over to top red, where once again you're not going to find much from a roam game here from TSM, not at this point anyway. They focus on much different points on the map. Even 90 is only going to be defended by Gio, and he can more than likely rotate away from this if things get too hot. Doesn't necessarily have a lot of support for himself in that position. May have 1 or 2 discs to eat up the nades, but without a reinforced shield or anything else, he's going to be a bit exposed should SSG try to swing against him.
Amazing drum game here from TSM. I don't believe that they know Achieved is here just yet, but Bosco going to set up that camera in case Achieved wants to rotate to hop out of the bathroom window. That's what he's worried about right now. This is something that SSG is known for with their drones, especially on this map, actually. I've talked to quite a few people that renowned SSG for that drone game and their ability to hide these things and get intel in areas that seemingly is impossible. So once again, finding a lot of information here, and this could lead to the demise of TSM, but it's actually going to be Fultz to die first, and that's a very nice down and find from Bolo, the bearing 9 through the floor. And Chief confirms it with a nitro cell as Bolo knows exactly what he's done. That's going to be the IQ gone.
Roam clear seems to remain an issue here for SSG, even though it was the exact opposite of this on the previous map. Having a lot of issues dealing with the extended game right now for TSM. And this includes just being able to drone out appropriate positions. Drone economy is constantly being drained from SSG there. TSM are doing a fantastic job of denying all that intel and keeping themselves in good positions to find impact against SSG and at minimum waste time if they're not able to pick up kills. But so often we've seen it be kills just like this. Achieved able to rotate back to a further position. Rampy swings out, is not expecting Achieved to be there. And as such, Achieved gets himself another pick.
Sadly, there's a lot of things that got to go right here for SSG if they still want to dog in this fight, and that's a good start. Take down Bolo as they start the plant for the vault. No more nitro cells to be able to prevent. It's only going to be Toxic Babes as they're trying to stack him to kill Canadian. Is it going to go through? It is. Canadian also getting out alive. Very impressive stuff. Now down to the post plant with this 3 versus 3. It's completely doable. They're going to have somebody try and stick the plant here and wait for the swings. He's already halfway through the timer. They have to get here, but the kill's already coming through. Chala coming in big, and that's exactly what they needed. The most clutch player on TSM secures the round needed for them to close out Villa. Ladies and gentlemen, we are headed to Coastline.
It's going to go the full distance, ladies and gentlemen, as TSM will take solid control over map number 2 here on Villa. That comfortable pick ends up being a very comfortable pick for them, especially on defense, as they dominate that half, sending this into a 1-1 series, which now SSG is in the hot seat. We're going to be going to Coastline for our third and final map, folks. Stick with us, as that's going to be right around the corner. We're going to head to a short break before we get to that, and before it comes back to us, of course, we'll have our analysts breaking down the second map and getting us ready for map number 3. All that is coming up in just a little bit, folks, so stick with us.
You should know better than to write me off. Consider this a teaching moment.
Welcome back. I am Jackie Jing with Fenley and Jesse, and map 2 Villa 7-4. TSM defeats SSG. We're going to map 3, folks. It's happening. We've talked about this a lot today. TSM needing to gain control, and they did that on Villa. Jesse, talk to me about their ability to deny intel for SSG specifically.
For sure. So I thought, like, Space Station have always been known for being this big drone team, and the casters talked about this at the end too, where they really do like to get their drones in sticky situations and get like a lot of intel on you that you don't realize they have. But I thought TSM did a really good job of like denying that. Part of that was like destroying drones. You saw a lot of those like late attacks from Space Station seemed like they were coming in without any knowledge of where those defenders were at. Even that last round, like Achieve particularly was doing a really good job of wasting utility, wasting those drones. They had to throw a lot at him just because of the positions he was playing. He was often down beneath the bomb site, moving around quite a bit, and Space Station Gaming either ignored him and died because of it, or they spent a lot of drones and utility trying to like root him out of his positions. So all across the board, I thought TSM did a great job of making sure that Space Station Gaming couldn't get that edge that they usually have, and that was a big reason why TSM took this map in the second half.
And talking about TSM having control, Veli, we were chatting about this earlier, and they had a lot of patience, particularly in round 8, and you really thought that that was where we saw everything kind of turn around.
You know what it is, Jackie? TSM pulled away in the most patient way possible, and patience was definitely key. At the start of the second half, we saw that setup happen where Geo was on 90, you have Bolo and Vaught as Echo, but most importantly, you have Merc and Steady. Now, when you have a team full of gunners, you know, and things are pretty stale, you expect a lot of rotations. People are forcing fights, and they put themselves in a really good or really bad situation because of it. No, not TSM. So once Bolo was able to deny Space Station Gaming from opening up that vault wall, Geo stayed put on 90 to make sure nobody walked along that way, but it was Merc. Merc stayed in Steady, pushed in even more, was able to get a double kill, getting his second kill on the flank watch, which was Chala. And then once Ssg, they were forced to try to get the objective down, it was everyone else on site. Achieve, Bolo, they all combined to finish up those kills. I love the fact that TSM, they're playing close to the chest when it comes to their strategy, and they're not going off the beaten path. So I love what they're doing. They got to keep it up.
And we just threw their stats up on screen right now for both teams.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to pivot over to SSG. We've talked about TSM a bit here. Jesse, talk to me about SSG's site selection. A couple of their choices were kind of surprising to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that in terms of like Villa as a map, like in the global meta, it's one of the most interesting maps we have right now because the site selection is changing quite a bit. A lot of times people have talked about how Trophy is starting to fall off quite a bit, and I thought particularly with TSM's defensive half, we saw that a lot. Obviously, they didn't go to Trophy Saturate. It's really fallen off. TSM going as far as to play Living Room Library, which is not what most people are doing, but it shows like how much people don't like that bomb site. And then Space Station were really the ones throwing me for a loop. They tried to avoid Aviator a lot. They played it third in their first like rotation of 3 maps, which I was like, okay, well, you know, it's not that rare for a team to play like their good map later on in the rotation, fine. But then when it came to round 6, they won it in round 3, and it came to round 6 and they didn't even play it again. They went back to back in back up to the Trophy Saturate. So like that seemed very strange to me that they were favoring that bomb site more. I think it speaks again to just like, well, here's the best bomb site on a map, and as a map grows, teams get a lot better at attacking that bomb site because it gets picked the most because it's the best, and then they get very proficient at attacking it. So I think that Space Station reading a little bit, and I'm assuming that TSM would have good attacks on that bomb site. The one time they won it on Aviator games, it was a bit of a clutch play, and I thought it was really smart from Thinking 8 to set up those yokai drones, one on each bomb site, and just let his teammates feed him information while he got those kills. So it wasn't the most dominant defense when they did go there, but it's still interesting to me that they're choosing to go to those other bomb sites a lot more than even like Aviator games. Top floor of Villa really falling off.
Okay, interesting points there. And throughout the broadcast, we have been watching specific players, and you both chose Bolo and Fultz. So we do have some updated numbers for them. So here it is, Bolo playing quite well in that last map. So.
That's pretty much taking a look at folks' stats, especially. It's just the fact that TSM were smothering them, especially on attack. The fact that they were able to get that split as well was just really good. But Bolo is back to form.
Yep.
We've been saying that, you know, we wish TSM did it, we wish Space Station did it, Dark Zero, whatever team comes off of an L, we hope that they have that short-term memory. Bolo going 14-6 against Space Station, the Space Boys. That's special.
Yeah.
I love what Bolo's doing.
I think like Bolo, maybe he just needed a bit to recharge. I said even in that last map, I think he went 9 and 9 in map 1, which I said, you know, he's back. He's starting to contribute to his team, and this is really where he's started to pop off and carry the team like we've seen him do before. So maybe there was something about day 1. He just thought it was too easy, and then he was a little too relaxed going into day 2. I don't know what it was, but it's good to see him back.
We jokingly call him a machine. Guess what? He's human, and now he's like back to machine, like
No,
he's like
not.
a cyborg. Exactly. Anyway, it's time for a very special segment. It's called Veli Step Up. So Veli, we need you to step up, and you got to tell us who needs to step up.
All right, first off, this is gonna go to some a good group of gamers, and chat, I want you to look at this screen. Look at me when I say this, because I think we all agree with this. Now, everybody on Space Station, my message to you is keep your heads up, kings, because your crowns are falling, all right? Now, you're at the top. You're at the tippity top. Can't nobody mess with you except TSM. Now, you've had this target on your back for a while, but you've proved that you all have been the best team in the game for a while now, since the beginning of the year when we had 6 Invitational 2020, right? Now, let's take a rundown just to remind you all who you are. You have Bosco. He is the most clutch and tied first when it comes to cost. Canadian, he's the best at objective play outright. He's number 1. But then Rampy, 2nd in kill depth differential, 4th in entry differential, and also top 5 when it comes to total player rating. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, SSG, you know you're not a slouch. We know you're not a slouch. But you cannot happen to have a bad map like we saw just then. I believe you guys are better than that. You have to be better now, because now it's do or die. You lose this next match, and that is it. So if TSM is able to best you, I don't know how long they'll be able to call Space Station the best in the world if they can't hold up to be the best on top when it comes to events like this.
Veli calling out SSG.
That was kind of intense towards the end. Usually we wait from 1/6 invitation to the other. Listen, hey, if other teams are topping you when it comes to these type of tournaments, you know, hey, TSM, they gonna really move up in those power rankings to me if they win this match.
All right. Well, the big question is, will SSG step up? But before we get into that, our final thoughts and all that jazz, you know, we've been talking to you about the upcoming DLC, and we will be showing you a full trailer. Not right now. I kind of like spooked everybody last time. Not right now, but on Sunday during our best of 5. But we're really, really excited about it, so make sure you tune in tomorrow. You definitely do not want to miss this. We've heard all these great things about it. But for all of you at home, we got a little snippet pick, a little teaser. The 3 of us haven't seen it yet either, so here it is. Got some barbed wire. Oh, it's in the right corner.
This
right
looks
corner,
like
right?
a map. Oh, I didn't even see that.
Oh, I was gonna say, all right, this looks like Chalet. So
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, what's
Okay.
on the right? What's that icon?
3. There's 3 barbed wires. Boom. Figured it out. They're giving 3 barbed wires to.
It's not 3 barbed
No, they're
wires.
bringing 3
Because someone's
barbed
gonna
wire
really believe that, Jesse.
This is my speculation.
Oh my
Let's keep that in mind.
All right.
So whatever this is, I wonder if that is an extra piece of utility that this new character might have, or is that how many uses you can get with their main special one? I don't
like
know.
these
I don't know.
conjectures here. Totally.
Is that Frost in the background too? Is that
Where?
Is there a person back there in the bottom right,
Wait,
or is this just the way the barbed wire
oh my
is
gosh,
going?
I can
That's
low-key
Frost.
see what you're seeing. Yeah, bottom
Yeah,
right corner.
right?
Good eye.
I didn't even notice her for a while there. So Frost has not
give
been
some
removed. That's good.
improvised
That's good to
Okay.
that's good to know.
Solidified that. So anyways, everyone, here's a little snippet pick. Remember the full reveal trailer tomorrow. We are so close. But okay, final thoughts, predictions. How's this map 3 gonna go? I mean, we keep on saying going home, but they're not going home. But you all know what we mean at home.
losing.
They're out. They're gonna be out. Jesse, I always put you in the hot seat first for this, so you're in the hot seat.
Yeah. No, I don't think the seat is too high.
Again.
I think that I think Space Station still locked this one out. You know, we're going to Coastline. Both these teams have been good on it, but Space Station played this just last night. They played pretty well for, you know, how long of a day that was. I think they'll close it. And again, like Villa didn't go their way, but they still played pretty well. And you know, a couple rounds on that attacking half go their way. A couple of those clutches don't end up the way they did. The drones are a little bit tighter. They probably win that map too. So I think Space Station are going to be the favorites going into this one. I'm not going to flip this time. I'm pretty confident going with Space Station.
All right, no flip-flopping. Veli?
So there's a tale of 2 sides right now. You have Space Station with a lot of pressure to maintain being the best, right? But then it's the second side that scares me more. It's TSM. They have the pressure of trying to be the best, which creates more hunger because they wanted this in 6 Invitational. They hated the fact that Space Station beat them in Montreal, right? Oh, this is hard. I want Space Station to win, but the way that last map turned out and Bolo was turning up, it looks like TSM is on the road, so...
Wow, flip-flopping.
I'm gonna stick with the Space Boys. I'm
Okay,
sticking with the Space Boys.
You had
I'm
all
just
that
saying,
build-up
TSM looks scary,
with all
right?
that build-up,
to...
and then you're like, actually, I'm sticking with them, though. Okay, sorry.
Jackie, this is map 3 and team is going home. I'm trying to create, that environment,
Yeah.
but no, this is scary. TSM's looking really scary, but I'm still holding on tight with Space
Jesse
Station.
and I were like completely sold on that you were going with TSM, and then we were like,
Right? I was
wait.
thinking he's finally committing
What?
to the
Sold
flip.
myself.
Okay, well, there
No.
we go. Okay, SSG. I'm going to say SSG too, but let's see. Can they pull
But it's
off
scary.
map 3? I know, it's close. Veli made a valid argument, and then he
Yes.
decided to stick with SSG. Y'all heard it. But, all right, do not go anywhere. This is the end of the day. Again, someone is going to be out after this. You definitely want to see this. So we'll be back in a flash. See you in a few.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Major. We are well on our way in the midst of SSG versus TSM, our lower bracket final and our final match of the day here for day 2 of the Major. It's gone the distance all the way to map number 3, and now Coastline is where we are going to settle the score to see who's going to be moving on to the grand finals versus Dark Zero tomorrow, and who, unfortunately, will have to settle for 3rd place. Coastline will be a very different map, both in terms of play style and round outcome we'll be seeing from these teams. It's a much more open-ended map with approaches that teams can take to it, much less reliant on hard breach to get access to certain areas of the map. And more importantly, something that we've been focusing on for a lot of this series is it's very open to roaming presence, and that's been a very important part to decide who's been doing well and who hasn't been doing so well in these matchups. Yeah, Stokes?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Walking into Villa, it seemed as that TSM was in a slump, losing 3 maps in a row inside of this tournament, but finally firing back with a payload of their own, stoking the flame that seemed to have gone out, but it seemed that the embers were still warm, and they were able to get it going once again. We're headed towards Coastline, and as you said, John, this is a very unorthodox map when it comes down to it. Requires a lot of strategy that we aren't regularly used to seeing. Specifically, not much hard breach brought here. We might actually see one specific hard breach ban. We might be seeing Habana taken off the board, but again, there's a lot to be had here. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time today, let's jump into Coastline. It's SSG, it's TSM. Let's find out who's going home.
Only one can come out on top of this matchup. The van phase getting started right now, guys. So let's head in game and take a look at who exactly is going to be getting knocked out. Stokes already mentioned hard breacher bans have been very common today, but more than likely should not come out, with the possible exception of Hibana, since it is Coastline. Nomad's going to be the initial ban, though, and that makes sense when you consider her capability to shut down roamers on this map specifically, since it is kind of in the shape of a giant donut, so it's pretty easy to block off pathways.
Yeah, and Habana's going to come in as well. Good ban there, getting rid of that. Really, the application for her is simply put onto the pink wall upstairs to try and prevent any smoke play or anyone finding safe harbor inside of that area. TSM also going to ban out Valkyrie, another very good one on this map. Valkyrie is usually banned out on maps that have a lot of trees or a lot of areas where you can hide her cameras, whether inside or outside. So this is exactly why we're going to be seeing her removed, and then Wilmai removed from SSG. So we are going way outside the box here, not exactly with, the other bans that we had. I really like the Nomad ban and Wilmai ban here from SSG. That's going to allow a lot of aggressive play, and as well as Capitao to have a pretty big stamp here on Coast.
Utility dump meta has been very prevalent, of course, over the last few months, specifically since we switched to the new format here for the global circuit. And as a result of that, we've been seeing bans like Omai and like Jaeger come out a little bit more commonly. So not super surprising to see that one being thrown out there, considering how the meta generally plays into things right now. Hookah Billiards is where we'll start off. And of course, if you guys can't see it on your screen for yourself, SSG does have the defensive start, so they'll choose to go there. And we'll take a look now at their operator lineup and overall setup as we're going to load into the game.
We are going to have the Capital come out from TSM, probably going to be utilizing that for most of this map on the offensive side for both of these teams. Obviously, as we talked about before with that Wamai ban, he's the only person that can possibly affect those arrows and their flight path. So now Geo just has to hit the mark, and if he does, they're going to be successfully bursted into flames or smoke, depending on which ones he is using. SSG, though, as you said, headed towards Hookah. Defensive setups looking pretty stout. Not bringing the Mute in tandem with the Mozzie, but they do have the Vigil, which, especially for Coastline, can help out quite a bit. But SSG's definitely got to worry about the rotations here, as Coastline is a map that you can handle quite a few of them just from sitting on the roof. And as you said, it is in the shape of a donut. That massive square in the center is going to be manned by at least one person for almost this entire round.
We can see Rampy is going to be the primary cutoff here for SSG, trying to make sure that the primary stairs, along with areas like luggage and VIP, are not utilized by the members of TSM in order to take control from the rest of SSG's flank here. We've got TSM is going to be putting pressure on multiple avenues, as you would expect on a map like Coastline. Things can be very open-ended here, which means there's a lot of different ways to approach, especially the early round, with regards to trying to clear out roam presence, since the roamers themselves also have a lot of choice to make. Oftentimes, the attackers need to take quite a bit longer to fully drone things down and commit to a specific strategy.
Well, SSG playing very aggressively to the outside of the building. No one jumping out, obviously, but still holding angles and making their presence known as Canadian sprints out of Aqua onto the balcony, but doesn't find too much. For TSM, it seems to be a ground level clear as they're trying to see if there's anybody roaming downstairs, but for the time being, there is not. Still plenty of intel denial on the board for SSG as they continue to wean down this timer.
ADS going to be thrown into the back hall here to allow a bit more security for the players on SSG that are currently fending off the cool vibes and Hookah push. Fultz believes he has presence coming around the corner, and he's right to do so. It does look like Merker, another member of TSM, is waiting out just at the bottom of the stairs. Bolo, thank you, instead of Merc. Still working on the outlines, being able to detect those. One was a Zofia, apparently it's an IQ. But either way, that IQ is going to start to push up the stairs. Fultz is very much expecting this, but also has presence coming in from Hookah, including that drone right there, which could throw him off. He's going to pop up the gas grenade instead. Oh, nearly a little bit too high on the recoil there from the SMG-11, but does indeed cut off Bolo and prevent a successful push of the cool vibe steps.
Unfortunate decision making there from Bolo. Quite a large misstep for him, but we don't see those too often, so obviously you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Nobody can possibly be perfect, but Toxic Babe Smoke now filling the vibe stairs, definitely not cool for them. Have to work their way up the staircase somehow, some way. They have some presence on the Hookah balcony as well, but SSG so very patient. Oh, rotation here from Thinking Nade almost gets him caught, but able to scamper across behind that bomb chassis, which assisted him very, very well. Shotgun blast from Fultz, and Canadian also tags along for the ride. Fultz, oh man, all over that kill feed. Rampy tags as well, and SSG claim round one after a botched execute from TSM.
Fultz making a YouTube video with how cool some of those kills look. It's smooth for him as well as he goes out, hits the quick pop on the shotgun, and then flips around to kill the player trying to pinch him as well from the rotate over into cool vibes. Beautiful hold from SSG. Good attempts from TSM to get past the setup, but ultimately just too solid of a hold. And too many heads-up plays from SSG that get the better of TSM, puts them too far behind in the round, does not leave them with a reasonable capability to win that one out. Defenders start things off strong and get on the board first. And now we'll see a rotate over to Kitchen and Service for the next site hold for SSG.
That's how a magician and a champion play smoke on Hookah instead of Coastline. So SSG now shifting gears over towards the kitchen area. Bringing a similar lineup to what they had previously, all except for Bosco, who's going to be bringing the dock this time. And that's the beauty of this map, is you can be extremely aggressive in your operator lineup. I mean, as you guys can see, there's no one that's truly an anchor-based operator, all except for Fultz on that smoke. But we've even seen some very aggressive plays from that operator inside of this tournament. So again, it's one of those things where it really is just that play style, and Coastline definitely synergizes well.
Still going to be seeing, as you mentioned, quite a bit of that aggression coming out from SSG. You can definitely expect the extended roam game to be a possibility on this one. Unfortunately, nothing from TSM to immediately counteract that. They do have much more much more mobile operators on the team that can kind of catch rumors if they try to get the better of members of TSM when they first start to hop in the building, but nothing specifically meant to deal with that. So that part of the equation here is going to be left unrestricted, at least by normal utility. It's all going to be on the drone game here for TSM to try and restrict out any of the more aggressive members of SSG. Like Canadian here, who's already put himself into a bit of a hot seat. He's got a player just outside of the office, but going to hold the close angle just over behind the bookshelf in the middle of the room before eventually falling back to the rest of his teammates, which are also holding aggressively on the inside of security. Two more of them at least doing that.
Well, Coastline known for its cheeky angles, and you can see Rampy utilizing those bullet holes that everyone knows and loves so much. Mud right now, priority for TSM, at least for the time being. They're trying to figure out exactly where they can get this execute to go off. Only a minute off of the board, but almost having a kill. But they definitely know that the vigil of Rampy's trapped behind the couch. But it's a quick move for him as he already challenges back. Now holding a nice angle here through the soft panel. Pre-fires through, flicks over towards the default spot inside of Sunrise, but not able to bag anything. Still delaying quite a bit of time, but as TSM is able to move in towards the map, Kitchen is going to be not the area you exactly want to be once this execute comes through. They did get some intel on the tail end there, as well as Rampy rotated all the way through stalls out towards lobby.
See just how close these angles are here, specifically for Merc. If he moves one or two steps to the left, he is right in the vision of Fultz. Canadian is actually going to get dropped first here, however, by Chala elsewhere on the map. That's going to leave the Mozzie out of the fight. He's going to get pinched upstairs, looks like on the inside of Billiards. His working will meet his demise and unfortunately won't be able to contribute to the rest of the round. TSM still with plenty of time left as well. He's in relatively good footing. I mean, that they're able to transfer this downstairs into the kitchen. We do have a pretty heavy push coming in that direction, and that's a very small choke point if they are all going to work their way in through said doorways. So having achieved outside here, either putting pressure on the kitchen window or alternatively the service doorway where he's now heading now is certainly going to help. And this is the reason why they need the help. Bosco still has a hard locked angle against players that are going to try to push into that very small choke point. It's not going to be easy for TSM to get it, even with the man advantage that they had up until a few seconds ago.
Speaking of things that are small, TSM's map control is small right now. They really only have the bars. The G8 working out there as Rampy gets taken down, but it wasn't even him who ended up getting the kill. Actually, the Sledge, I do believe, of Achieved. But now looks like they want to go for this execute. Still plenty of sight presence here for SSG, worrying about the service door. Bosco gets yet another kill, but Achieve trades it immediately back inside of sight. And it's all left up to Bosco as he's hopped inside of the courtyard. Able to get a triple kill, but the diffuser is down now, and the rest of the members more than likely going to hightail it out of there. Have some nice sight lines, and Bosco is going to be taken down. Are they going to be able to confirm it? It doesn't even seem as though they were ready to down him. Might have been a pre-fire there. Don't exactly know where those bullets came from, but it seems that Bosco might have an idea. Some nice some very nice post-plant positions here for TSM as Gio and Bolo all on their respective sides of the map.
Bosco going to try to swing over here into the toilets. He'll have a player waiting just around the corner as he exits onto the inside of barrels, and he knows he's going to be back in the corner too. Oh, both players are going to end up getting down there, but Bolo gets the confirmation on Bosco first. No capability to stim him back up as he just goes full dead that time. And with that, TSM are going to take control of round number 2. We'll see the immediate trade to put us at 1-1 between these two teams.
Yeah, and since we ended up having that, no kill cam either for you guys to see that, but I'm sure you guys all saw it and just stand up. Nice spray with the G8 from hipfire, but obviously with the rate of fire, you're going to send probably enough bullets to kill somebody, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Well, headed back down to kitchen. Nice choice here by SSG. That was not a bad defense at all. Canadian's going to have to 6-pick off of that Malusi. It seemed that it just got randomly selected. Obviously, Malusi and Ace not in just yet, so they definitely know that Malusi's going to be 6-picked. They're probably going to be figuring out exactly what he'll be bringing soon enough. Canadian back onto the pulse for that information game.
So, it will jump back on the Mozzie. In fact, as he...
My life is a lie.
Just a quick little switch up that he did on you there at the end. So I'll decide the Mozzie is going to be of better use to the team on the upstairs room than the Pulse will be to gather info from downstairs, possibly upstairs as well. It's not usually the way the Pulse is played. TSM, of course, still going to bring a very similar flair to their own lineup. A lot of smokes, as they're going to be needed there, specifically on Geo, to make this push work for them when you consider how well the smokes that blocked off access to the central courtyard where we had Bosco try and retake from. Those smokes weren't there. He potentially would have been able to get away with a whole lot more. So definitely a good idea to bring the Capital back in to make sure that that is not an issue once again.
Well, same setup here for SSG, except it seems that Canadian's going to be assisting towards the eastern side. We'll see if he rotates back over to Agua. where he was playing the last time, that Aqua area, trying to get feisty with the aquarium balcony and see if he could possibly have anything to do with the office area as well. Bolo actually going to be repelling up here early on, so we might have an early engagement. It's going to be a 4v5 more than likely. We'll just have to find out who.
Bolo, of course, trying to drone himself in. He'll catch Canadian pretty quickly there. Canadian, of course, is aware of that, so you can see he retreats back to a corner, just in case there's going to be an immediate swing from Bolo or, of course, another member of TSM, had there been 2 players up here. It's not the case, of course. Canadian going to try and see if he can sneak up a couple shots, maybe get lucky and take out the drone. I'm not sure if he did or not, but either way, the presence is too much for him to stick around. He's going to fall back, see if he can luck out here with the Nitro Cell placement. He just might get it. No, Bolo is moving too quickly, so no success found there, but TSM does get control over Aqua and any of the connecting upstairs rooms.
On an early kill here for Fultz, the SMG-11 takes down Shala, as it seems that he ran out of service. Very nice kill from him, and nice setup over here overall by SSG. Really like how they're utilizing these, standard reinforced doors here, especially over in the office area, restricting access for TSM and also giving the defensive members some sound cues if they are able to get some presence, some nice comms, as well as you could see the dock rotate over to destroy a couple of those barricades, so the Canadian had safe passage. Didn't have to end up getting chased down while he's trying to destroy some wooden barricades. Now for SSG, it's all onto the waiting game. They've got the early kill, and it was onto a pretty important operator. Getting rid of the Thatcher and those EMPs means that a lot of this secondary and primary utility for the defense is going to stay alive.
Neither Nitro Cell thrown out there, but once again, it is not successful. Especially so far, over 2 on that here. Actually, that wasn't even a Nitro, that was something else that they utilized. My bad. Second one going to be used there. It's for the attackers to get top-down control there and see where exactly Thinking Nate or another member of SSG are going to be playing out from here. So still nothing found from that for the attackers instead of the defenders here. Bosco is still working with Thinking Nate to maintain control over the front lobby, as Bosco will be playing from the inside of security. TSM definitely seems to be aware of this hold here, so it's going to be a bit worrisome for the members of SSG that are currently holding, especially with Achieve getting that nade kill. Plant going down from Geo in the meanwhile, and TSM continuing to find frags left and right here. Another frag picked up as Bosco is eliminated. Thinking Nate still has presence in the lobby, but he's not going to be able to get the better of Merc. He's far too quick there with the G3. Takes him out fast. Achieved is also able to eliminate Canadian. Rampy is all that's left in a 1v4. They've just found him out, or at least they know his general location as a result of the drone passing by, and thankfully he's on the vigil so we can hide his exact location, but ultimately he can't hide the 1v4 that's set before him. TSM are going to knock him out with Geo getting the final frag, and that's now a lead 2-1 in TSM's favor.
Well, we're more than likely not headed back to kitchen. Nice setup there from TSM. They got the map control needed, specifically upstairs inside of Penthouse. Good vertical play by them to isolate the service area and get that plant down. SSG didn't even have a clue as to what was going on in that portion of the map. You saw 2 members sitting inside of lobby waiting for what was going to be the next step, but they weren't the people to make the next move. It was the offense who was already inside of the site getting that diffuser down. Beautifully done from TSM, but still a long road ahead of them inside of this map if they want to close things out. That's only 2 rounds. Granted, they were back-to-back with plants, so SSG going to shift gears. They don't want to play kitchen anymore, and I can't blame them. They're headed back towards hookah.
Probably wouldn't be too surprised if they decide not to make a return to it either and look into other options. Unfortunately, the options get pretty sparse past the kitchen defense, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. We'll hold judgment, of course, until we see another successful defense here from SSG, which thankfully for them will be coming up on this very round. Usual setup in order to defend this, still very roamer-centric, but you are going to have a couple more anchors deployed, including, of course, the Maestro, which is more than likely going to be sitting in back sight. Canadian also coming in on the Pulse does open up room for a lot more intel, especially if TSM are going to clear from, say, let's say over to like VIP area and whatnot. That's where Canadian can get a lot of intel and potentially immediately counter out any of the pushes from TSM.
Well, as the last dying seconds as the prep phase goes through blue, we're about to have TSM back out on the field. And after these previous rounds, it seems that TSM's woes have finally been quenched, as they're ready to take it to SSG. Pre-fire here from Rampy. SSG's getting wild, and this is exactly what we want to see. Every single time that we head to Coastline, doesn't matter the commentator, doesn't matter the team, we always tell you guys the same thing. This is an aggressive map, and you have to be aggressive on all fronts. That includes the defensive side. If you're not aggressive early and try and get these entry kills, this is exactly what's going to happen. The previous 2 rounds. Those plants are going to go down. They're going to be able to bully you. This is a map where map control is pretty easily taken taken by the offense if they're allowed into the building in certain regards. So we'll have to see if it's going to go as successful as it has at these prior rounds, or if SSG is going to be able to finally battle back.
Well, doing a bit of self-droning just to make sure he is not going to have to expect anything to sneak up behind him from the lobby, or of course from the bathroom. Same to be said for ahead of him, as I'd like to be focusing on that too. He's not alone in doing so. Merc and a few other members are also taking the time to do drone work here in the early first minute of the round itself. SSG, besides that early run out from Rampy, no aggressive tendencies being swung from them either. Gotta hold this one very close to the chest due to the site they're playing on. So besides that initial run out, there's not going to be a whole lot of room for them to try and jump out on the members of TSM here. We've got a pretty big stack of TSM starting to form just on the edge of Hookah. So a lot of presence going to be on the store, as you generally might expect. Other than that, not a lot of pressure happening around the map. As far as I can tell, we do have the bar hold taking control as well downstairs in Sunrise, that they're looking to try and take that away from SSG. So that's going to be additional pressure on players like Fultz, Thinking Nate, and Bosco, as eventually that pressure will work its way to Cool Vibe stairs. Like Bolo is actually going to start working towards that now.
Well, Canadian droned out on the far side of the map inside of Theater. Still drone game to be had from TSM. Last time they were here attacking this site, they ended up flooding the Vibe stairs, which did not work out for them, but it got created into a highlight reel by Fultz. Another drone for him as he actually slips in between himself and that Toxic Babe, or at least the drone and the Toxic Babe. Able to take that one down.
Surprised he didn't shoot his own.
Got very lucky on the RNG of those pellets. It's we're gonna chalk it up to. Oh, drone game here is. The pulse has been found out, but oh no, Bolo, a misread, and it's actually Fultz that challenges down the Vibe stairs. Oh no, actually ended up almost getting caught off guard. Re-peeks, but it's Chala to take him down. They have some Hookah presence now. All the kill feed lighting up orange for TSM. Sub 30 now, as it's only Rampy and Bosco that need to battle back towards site. But with that Alda still in play, this could be the demise of TSM if they're not able to shut him down. Nice mark here as the pre-fires come through, but they have to worry about multiple angles. Where's this last member of TSM? That's the real question. It seems that they have one on rappel, but no, Bosco, a nice shot. Achieves actually hightailing it in through VIP. He could catch these last two members off guard, but he's going to have to be quick about it. The timer's only on 3 seconds. He pre-fires, but it's a trade back and forth, and Gio's going to have to stick the diffuser. It's not going to happen, though. SSG reading into that rotation and claim round 4.
Yeah, Gio had it on the ground for a second, so I don't know if he just like realized he wasn't going to be able to win it and then just took it off to try to go for the kill, which is more than likely what he ended up doing there, or something else went wrong with the plant process. But either way, forgoes the opportunity to do so in terms of trying to get the kill, but does not work out due to the fact that he only had like 2 seconds left to get it at that point. Another round goes into SSG's hands, so far only finding success on the Hookah Billiards site. Now going to try to expand that once again, as they will actually go back to Kitchen and Service for a third attempt here.
Oh,
all right. I like
that's nice. Oryx is going to get picked up in place of the Vigil. This is an operator that we haven't seen too much inside of regular play, but his presence has been known throughout this tournament already. You and I have already actually seen him twice, and both of the times that we saw him were on Consulate. Didn't see him on Coastlines. It's going to be a brand new, fresh look for both you and I, so we'll have to try and keep you guys updated as to exactly what's going on with this. But as it usually goes, especially with SSG, it's probably a lot more big IQ than initially thought. Lots of hatches on this map, so the rotations are going to be good for Rampy on this operator. And since you guys have probably not seen him too much at home, and if you don't, necessarily watch too much or play too much, then we'll walk you through this. Oryx is an operator that has 2 abilities. He has a passive one that allows him to jump up open hatches, and his primary one, which is a dash, but that dash actually has a soft destruction property to it. If he dashes through anything that is soft, including some objects on the map, he'll actually break it or pass through it and make a rotation. So very cool operator. We haven't seen him utilize to his full potential just yet inside of pro play, but this might be the very first time.
Much better for making the rotations, both, when he's in like a safe situation. I haven't really seen too much application for him trying to, basically go like full Kool-Aid man with the, with trying to jump in on people mid-combat due to the fact that he stuns himself slightly when he runs through the walls as well. So needs to be aware of that, and as such, it makes it a little bit difficult to actually try and use it mid-combat, but it's great for using it in a pinch to get out of a bad spot or trying to dash between 2 very open positions. A lot of usefulness for it, but the passive is what makes it really interesting, especially as a a roamer, as obviously it makes him capable of traversing pretty much anywhere on the map at any point in time, meaning he's very dangerous and a lot harder for the attackers to get a general grasp on if there's a hatch in the room that he's currently holding.
Yeah, one of the most interesting operators that has been brought into Team Rainbow in recent history. I'd say at least him and Ayana, especially for that update, them both coming in at the same time. It's very cool stuff.
There's an example of
Nice little dash there, and you guys can see how quick he is. He's actually a 2-2 operator, but with that dash, very hard target to hit. He gets those over time if you guys look to the left-hand side of your screen. But we'll get off of that subject as he rotates upstairs. SSG still holding things down inside of sight. TSM traversing the map decently quickly. We're about halfway through the round now, as we still have plenty of intel game and what have you by SSG. TSM not paying any mind to the upstairs, and that actually might be their demise.
Certainly could be the case. TSM are getting a lot of control around Cool Vibes very early on in the round. Still already a minute and 20 seconds remaining, and you've got a lot of players from TSM right outside of the site. However, it is at the kitchen door. This is a massive choke point, which TSM was having issues getting control of previously as well. Despite that fact, still able to win out the round, but definitely an area where they've lost quite a few players. Seems this time, though, it's not going to be the case. Merc's going off right now, picking up another one for himself as he's able to take out Fultz right there. Rampy was also eliminated a few moments ago, more than likely getting caught on his roam. The same thing could be said for Bosco in a moment if he's not careful here. He's going to take some heat, but thankfully he's on the dock, so he's got the capability to stim himself up very quickly. In come the smokes from the Capital. In comes the Execute. Geo and Chala with good saves to prevent disaster and the culling of the majority of their players that were going to try and go for the plant. And ultimately, Bolo just has to wrap around one more time to the main stairs to finish off the last man standing. A beautiful execute from TSM. Nicely done.
Such a difficult site for SSG to pick up, and you can't exactly blame them. These executes from TSM have been very, very strong, even down to the wire there to claim that flawless round. Nice rotation from them, especially knowing that Bosco was going to play inside of lobby and taking him down by, I believe, rotating through security, but obviously could be wrong about that one. SSG don't want to head back towards kitchen. Exactly can't blame them, since the 3 prior attempts have definitely fallen into the favor of TSM, and it's absolutely no contest. We're headed to double bar this time around. We're going to have a 6 pick off of the Echo by a Canadian over towards the Clash.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, into another round, the final round of the half for SSG here. Once again, do or die time to try and make some impact on the defense to try and at least keep this in an even scoreline. Bars are held in an interesting way, much like some of the other sites on this map. The blue bar is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world for a defender to actually play inside of. So oftentimes the hold is focused very heavily to the inside of Sunrise bar. Blue bar is left relatively open, especially with that paneling going out the courtyard that you can see right there. This allows for the defenders to have an extended room going into lobby, potentially allowing for late round impact. And then you just put your focus on defending against like an office push from TSM there.
5 seconds.
Well, decent setup here for SSG. They're not going to be rocking the Mira on the kitchen double panel like we're used to seeing on this setup. Instead, they'll have it inside of kegs over near service. So, SSG, decent site presence here. But actually, I'm going to take back my words. It's actually only Bosco over here on site is misreading exactly where these members are, as I'm clearly blind. So, most of the SSG members actually off of site over towards the eastern side of the map. Looks like they're going to be working in 2s here, all except for Fultz, who will be the lone man inside of kegs. Thinking Nade's still setting up some mute jammers on some race services to make the roam clear all that more difficult for TSM upstairs.
The Clash pick, an interesting one for sure, considering the kind of mixed results from the roam game that's been going on so far throughout this map on SSG's defense. Certainly can slow things down and is a different way to try and block progress from TSM. Although in a very open-ended map like this, I fear for the capability of another member of TSM to very easily flank out Canadian and take him out before he can find impact. But thankfully, they've already accounted for that. That's Rampy's job, I do believe, is he's watching the security flank at the moment to make sure that player doesn't get an opportunity to walk up behind Canadian. Fultz, however, is going to be knocked out first. Merc continuing to find the initial impact here for TSM in quite a few rounds. Going to be able to quickly deal with Fultz and get rid of the Maestro. No evil eyes to worry about for the rest of this round. At least not the laser part of those evil eyes anyway.
This is exactly what we've been expecting from Merc for so very long, and what a time to come alive. Making a lot of entry kills here on the Ash, and a very large one, as you just said. Those evil eyes no longer being able to be controlled. They're stuck wherever they're currently looking and no longer have access to the lasers. TSM Making some pretty decent progress here, but we're well into the round now. 1 minute and 10 seconds remain for TSM to get something going. They have the top pressure, but now they need to get these entry kills. And since they're actually pretty good on time, could definitely do some damage. Oh, it's going to be in tandem with Thinking Nade as the Clash pushes up the vibe staircase. Shotgun in hand now as he takes down Merc. It's a one-shot, one-kill situation as it's all Thinking Nade to shut down this push. They do still have some some top presence upstairs with a man playing towards Vase, but TSM is going to have to try and find their way across this fence.
The mobile Clash at the moment doing some massive impact here. Another attempt to get aggressive just made there by Chala. He is going to throw out the EMP grenade in hopes of disabling the Clash's shield. Don't know if he was actually close enough for that, but it looks like he might not have been. As far as I can tell, the CCE shield is still working. Regardless, Thinking Nade gets himself another kill now. Gio will be able to trade it this time with the elimination of Bosco. So we go down into a 3v2. Mind you, again, Canadian on the Clash. He's very limited ability to impact in this round. Bolts are going out on top of Canadian to try and burn him out. Kind of dancing between 2 points right now. Chala did take out Rampy. Thinking he tries to go in to get off a Nitro cell. Canadian has to get the quick switch off to find the frag, but ultimately no. Chala gets the better of the remaining 1v1. What a crazy round. But TSM do come out on top of it, just barely.
Oh my goodness gracious, that round was something else. TSM able to achieve something. That was just such an interesting way for how that thing ended up going down. Apparently Gio having a little bit of an error there, but didn't seem to matter too much, is still favoring them on the offensive side. But that's exactly what we expect from Coastline. This is usually the split that we end up seeing. Ssg going back to more traditional means for their offense, picking up the Lion, but obviously we still have the 6-pick phase available. Just jumping back into that last round for a little while there was a lot of disjointed engagements that we saw that were very, very strong. So we might also have a rehost here. So apparently you guys are going to be headed back towards us. They're getting things figured out. We might not have it.
We might not.
Yeah, they're trying to get it figured out. We'll get into the round and exactly see what's going on. So, see if that is actually going to be a thing. Just waiting to get confirmation here. Apparently not, as they're all running around. It seems that Gio's also reinforcing, and they're good. So, guys, no rehost.
All right,
you don't
no
have to go
rehost.
back to our ugly mug. So let's jump back into the conversation that we were having prior to that. SSG did a very good job of handling those disjointed situations that were going on, whether it be inside of Sunrise or upstairs. I like the rotation with the Clash and what they were able to achieve with that, but it really did just come down to that misplay in judgment by Thinking Nade. He just assumed that he could last a touch longer inside of those flames from the Capital Bolt than he actually could, and a very unfortunate situation for him, as that Nitro Cell would have more than likely removed TSM from that round.
All right, guys, take a look at the opening strategy here from SSG. They're now on attack, but fighting from behind here. Remember, folks, this is your world champions potentially facing elimination from the NA Major. If TSM is able to get the better of them on this second half, all they've got to do is win 3 more rounds, and this series is theirs. For SSG, a much longer climb. They've got to win 5 to do it in regulation. And of course, only 4 to guarantee the OT, but then they need the additional 2 as well. So, long way to go here for SSG if they still want a spot in the grand finals tomorrow, but very much a team that we've already seen just in this major can fight from behind with no problem whatsoever.
And that's the thing about them, right? You can never count them out. We saw that all the way back in February when we saw them play up against Ninjas in Pajamas, and very similar set, but obviously not a best of 5 here. It's a best of 3 as we've made our way to the very last map. Fun fact for you guys from our resident big brain here on the analyst desk, Jesse. Before this series, SSG had played Clash 8 times and won with her every single time. So that means that Clash's win rate finally off of 100% for the squad.
TSM seem to be getting the best of SSG in multiple situations here, outwitting them strategically and giving them quite a few rounds here in order to leverage an advantage over SSG in the match. Whether they'll be able to carry it forward or not is still to be seen over these next 6 rounds or so. So a lot of posturing early on for the members of SSG as they take some south map control, mainly over here on like Aqua and top main stairs. But it's going to take a bit, but they do find that opening kill. It's against Merc as well. Was usually going to be the first one to take fights against SSG. Not a good sign for TSM. That's their initial roamer getting knocked out.
Well, that's going to be a very big deal, but SSG still needs to get into sight. Very extended hold here from TSM, as you guys can see in this beautiful sky cam. Achieved, as well as another member of the squad over inside of lobby. Waiting for SSG's next move. They do still have some explosives, as well as that cardiac sensor out by Achieve, so could work in tandem with Geo to be able to get a kill here. Geo now has that tape ripped. As you can see, the white line flipping back and forth from what he has in his hands in between that rifle and everything else. Bolo with the very initial kill here. Might have a big nitro cell as they're waiting to see exactly what's going to go on. And TSM all over the board. Utility fragging, it doesn't matter. But now it's all down to Canadian and Rampy to try and get something going here in these last 15 seconds.
The worst part about that for the Canadian is he walked away from it after it was initially thrown, so he would have been safe. Then he walks back into it as well. So unfortunate for him. Things are only going to continue to get more unfortunate for SSG as they continue to falter one by one. Canadian will be the last to fall as TSM take control of their initial defense on the double bars here to start off the second half.
Now, this is the TSM that has made so many fans around the world magnet towards them, come in and become fans of this squad. It's not just Bolo, it's this entire team. Yes, I know he has teammates, folks. That's pretty crazy. It's a 5-on-5 game, but this squad right now firing on all cylinders, and this is something that we have not seen throughout this entire tournament. Obviously in the lower bracket now, but it seems that they have risen to the occasion to play up against SSG. 5-2 right now. They only need 2 rounds to shut this out inside of oh my goodness gracious, to shut this out inside of regulation.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see exactly what TSM are going to bring to the table. Note they haven't even gone for the hookah billiards setup yet here. TSM very confident in their off-site setups. Maybe not even their off-site setups to them necessarily. Most people always go for the hookah billiards start. We started to see more people experiment with going to kitchen first off here, but that's the first time I've personally seen, at least in a few weeks here, a team go right to the double bars. It's worked out well for TSM. Not only get that, but they don't have to worry about going back to that. And they still have the safe picks of both kitchen and the upstairs sites if they need to retreat to that.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. If you're able to use that site early on to claim a quick round win, then, as you said, you're able to go to 2 sites that you're be a lot more successful with. I'm going to assume he was more than likely looking for drones or something along those lines. But obviously with that backpack as well, he's able to have a different sort of effect when he's standing on raised surfaces as well. So there's a lot of different things that he could have been doing with that, but that's more or less a question that you'd have to ask him personally. Can't really get too deep into that one right there as to why.
Just thought it was funny. He's like crawling around the banister there in the middle of the map. Like,
oh my goodness.
It's like practicing his tight walking skills or something.
Yeah,
tightrope walking.
That's the next update for Coastline, actually. They're gonna put a rope across courtyard.
Yeah, there's gonna be a rope in the middle, but if you take one step in the wrong direction, you fall.
That would be some of the most crazy like mechanical ability if you actually ended up having like gunfights on that tightrope.
We're gonna start bringing like KZ mechanics into Siege now. All right, folks, let's take a look here. SSG starting to pressure towards the sunrise bar first off. That's a very convenient zoom in for Bolo there. Obviously not lining up with anything that he can actually shoot at there, but definitely aligning with the big group of players from SSG that are going to be working their way in through the pull door right now. Bosco's going to take a different path though. He's going to work his way over towards that kitchen window just to pop it open, not actually going to be positioning himself for it, but that could be useful later on in the round if he needs to use that to set up utility.
Well, as you said, lots of posturing going on right now. Plenty of information game here for SSG as the drones continue to spin around the map. They find Bolo inside of security office. That's a pretty big find as Bolo is the Echo. So they're able to take him down. Those yokais no longer able to use that sonic blast that we all know and sometimes get annoyed by. Stun grenades now in towards the kitchen. First E1D usage here from Fultz as it seems to be a harsh execute, but the Toxic Babe actually going to stunt the growth of this offense. The timer continues to tick down.
Still a very quiet round for both teams, though. SSG certainly hesitant to try and make a move against Merc, but for at least 1 or 2 of their players, that is going to be the focus right now. More of them flushing in downstairs in the meantime as Thinking 8 is successful in eliminating Merc. The same can be said as they take out Achieve. Bolo doesn't even realize Rampy's holding the corner, and he's able to follow it through with 1 more. Chala is able to punish Canadian for going for the plant, but the problem is it's just Geo left alive. Now Rampy finishes him off in a very explosive execute from SSG. Finally gets them another round.
SSG just took the entire metaphorical mug of their utility and just threw it on the floor. Just everything all at once. Smoke, grenades, toxic, everything. It's just all out there in front of the defense. Very unfortunate rotation there from Bolo through the smoke that ended up catching him off guard as well. But overall, very explosive from SSG. Begs them that round. Almost able to get the diffuser down, but the kills came first. So didn't require that much map control either. They got the pick up top, and that was the one that was really, really needed. They did not want Merc to have any influence over that round once they tried to get that diffuser down. So now SSG still trying to catch up here. They need to find 2 more rounds just to tie us up as we're headed towards Hookah.
Their 6 pick into the IQ there. It's been a common one so far here throughout this match. More notably, I think, for... well, I think both teams have done it at least once or twice. There, Canadian is going to take the mantle of the IQ on this round specifically. Try and see if they can isolate out some of the utility. Not actually much to really scan in this round. I think the most notable thing would be catching Bolo while he's using the jammer, because that will immediately reveal his position. That on top of potentially catching some of the pests from Mozzie, but other than that, not necessarily a whole lot that the IQ is going to be useful for on this round.
Well, SSG has to start linking rounds together, otherwise TSM is more than likely walking away with this one. Lots of rounds that they need to find if they want to close this out in regulation. TSM only needs 1 more round to guarantee overtime. Hookah looking pretty strong. Looking the setups here as TSM's going to have that roam game. We'll see if SSG is going to go about things in similar fashion to how TSM was handling their offense as they walked into Hookah. There was a lot of cool vibes presence, but SSG was able to thwart anything that TSM threw at them every single time. So that was actually their only successful defensive rounds, all except, well, actually no, every single one of their defensive round wins coming from Hookah.
Every single one of them. So with SSG only having that, and so far this one attacking round pocketed, gonna have to work a little bit harder for a lot more, including hopefully this one. That would put them back at a 4-5 scoreline if they were to win it. TSM, though, as you already mentioned, Stokes is in a good position here also to try and take the entire series. Just 2 more rounds needed. Achieved with some great patience there. Throws it way ahead of time. Just waits for Rampy to walk over. It takes him out. There's a convenient footstep left behind for Fultz to utilize. That at least is going to reveal the vigil for the next couple seconds, but not too much of a problem for him. He can just hide out here and wait that out.
That's more of a, here's my condolences. You can have my footsteps, but nothing else. TSM, very strong start here. Explosive start, to say the least. TSM now just have to play the waiting game and see how SSG is going to react to this. Still plenty of intel for them, but that's exactly what we expect as they're clearing out this top floor. For TSM, they do still have some presence around the map, but it's mostly on site and down below it, trying to prevent SSG from having any sort of vertical play or possible grenades that could kill any of these anchoring operators.
Bomb located by attackers.
A little over halfway through the round timer here. SSG trying to inch closer and closer. They've got a good setup prepared just on the outside of Aqua, but obviously they don't want to throw themselves into the lion's den without appropriate intel. Drones are going to be set up. Hopefully give them a better idea in terms of what to expect if they do decide to push this avenue and work their way in from the Aqua doorway. So hopefully their only avenue of entry, either Bosco is still alive and well, and he's got a position just below the Hookah balcony. More than likely going to end up either repelling that big window to the inside of Billiards or just joining up with the players at Aqua. And there's one more on the roof that I think is also rotating over to the Aqua group to push in with them.
Well, it seems that the execute, as you said, is going to be for Billiards. They have plenty of presence here. The only thing they have to worry about is the window downstairs inside of Sunrise. That's going to be the only possibility for TSM to try and get that man off the double window, unless it's going to be a heads-up play. Smoke grenades out now to cut off the rotations. Firebolts in, but it seems that they're going for the kills. Canadian planting by the double window. This is going to be a very unorthodox area to plant, but oh no, Achieved all over it. Diffuser now down. 15 seconds remaining as Achieved continues on his reign. That's a triple kill for him all around. It's all left up to Thinking Nade outside on Hookah, but with very minimal time, he's going to have to face check everything and go for the very aggressive play. Pre-firing, but it's all under the patience of TSM, not giving him an inch at all. Geo finally finishes it off with a shotgun blast, and TSM continues to claim defensive rounds.
The smokes kind of come back to haunt SSG a little bit at the end of the round. They were absolutely necessary to get into the site, just to be perfectly clear about that, but ultimately adds a bit of an element of randomness to the eventual gunfight that occurs between both sides of the smoke, which unfortunately for the folks on over on SSG, TSM ended up coming out of that one as the winner, along with too much control for SSG to try and leverage back at that point. So that's going to put TSM up on map and match point, folks. We are looking at the potential elimination of the current world champions right now if TSM is able to get just a single more round on the board.
Not even the world champions. That's not even the, long list of their accolades, John. Looking at this squad, this is the favorite to win the entire thing, the entire tournament. Everyone has been talking about SSG, what they can possibly do, how they're going to just walk through this entire tournament with their heads held high. They're unstoppable. But right now, their main obstacle is 3 rounds. And not only is it 3 rounds, but it's 3 rounds against a very feisty TSM. And this is a team that when the going is pretty good, they are great. So I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. We need to see the best form of SSG that we have seen in a long time.
All right, so we do have a call from SSG that there is a bug. Yeah, so they just called for a rehost. So as soon as our admin confirms that, which looks like he's doing right now, then that is more than likely what is going to end up happening.
10 seconds left.
Yep, we just got confirmation, folks. We do have the confirmation. Well, I would say confirmation like 30 times in the same sentence. So we're going to rehost, guys. Apologies, of course, for the interruption, but we want to make sure these players are in as comfortable conditions as possible to continue playing out the match. So the scoreline is going to remain the same, obviously, minus the round that was going to be played out. That one, obviously, will just be restarted. And then as soon as we get all 10 players back into the lobby and reconnected, we'll be jumping in game as soon as we are able to.
Very interesting stuff happening throughout this map already, so it shouldn't be too hard to at least give you guys some form of entertainment during this time. Other than that, though, make sure you guys run over to the kitchen, whatever you got to do, grab your snacks right now, because this could possibly be the last round once we get back into the map. So it seems that they have graciously given you guys a bathroom break. But let's get into this coastline map and talk about some things. I think the most notable thing to talk about right now is the offensive unit of SSG. Things are not looking good. Almost every single front that they are showing, TSM has the counter for, and it's going to continue to be a struggle bus for them.
Yeah, TSM is showing up with a much stronger force to try and fend off, and if not absolutely kill some of the early members of SSG that are trying to go for map control. At very minimum, they are taking a lot of time off of SSG's clock here, so it's making it a very strained execute a lot of the time, and that's meaning that mistakes are made. For instance, with the smokes going into the site, they're trying to force the issue, trying to get that plant down onto the ground. If they give themselves a little bit more time, obviously that's not under their control at that point because they had spent a lot of the earlier round trying to clear out roamers. But if they're able to get in there a little bit more quickly, they might have been able to wait out the smokes, take those gunfights a little bit more appropriately, and then win it out that way. But there's just a lot of pressure being put on the SSG right now. Obviously, they're facing potential elimination, and this is allowing for TSM to kind of dictate the play style of quite a few of the rounds here in the second half.
There's a lot of emotions to be had between these two teams, too. We haven't talked about it too much, but obviously you guys have heard it on the analyst desk. If you guys wind the time back all the way back to February, we saw this matchup, and actually John and I casted it there as well, where SSG ended up beating TSM and sending them home at 6 Invitational. But now TSM has their chance for revenge, and the only thing standing between them and a success story is taking down SSG in a singular round here on Coastline.
See, of course, the players getting ready, kind of prepping themselves for what's to come. Obviously, this gives them a bit of a breathing moment too, because they're going to be hopping out of games. This is probably going to help SSG quite a bit to reset, actually, and just kind of recenter themselves for getting ready to go into the match. But it could be the same for TSM. It's one of those things where it's like really hard to talk about, since it really much depends on the type of player they are. Some players will enjoy situations like this where they get a moment to step out of game and breathe, and other players don't like this because they're they're feeling themselves, they're hot, and then this just kind of breaks the momentum for them. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there depending on the type of player you are, and we don't really ask those types of questions very often. So
exactly. But looking back into the map and how things have gone so far, SSG just not the best showing here on Coastline. TSM again seemingly getting the better of them, and it really leans onto the gunplay of TSM. They were able to get quite a few plants off on their offensive side. The objective play, very good, as well as the crosses that they were able to hold. It seemed that all of the rounds that were successful weren't just good, they were great. 2 plants, a flawless round, and the last one, a little bit of a mixed bag there to make it 4 for them on their offensive side, and their defense is looking so damn tough. This is going to be very difficult for SSG to get around, but obviously, given the rehost here with that sound bug that we had, this could be the time that SSG needed to utilize in order to establish a game plan.
The Rios shouldn't be too far away here, folks. I just obviously we can see the lobby and whatnot from our perspective. So we've got all 10 players in the lobby itself. We're just sorting out the teams and whatnot. So I would guess probably another minute or 2 here, and hopefully we will be good to go pending any other delays from the players themselves. Listen, I know you guys want to get things started as quickly as possible here. This is a very intense match, a very epic match, and it leads us into our grand final for tomorrow. Dark Zero have already stunned the rest of the region with their capability to show up here at this major and have blown through the upper bracket, already claiming the first slot in the grand final. On top of that, they also get the 1 map advantage, so the team that's going to go up against them tomorrow will be fighting from a map down as a result of that. But nonetheless, they will be fighting there. Ladies and gentlemen, looks like we are pretty much ready to get things started here. They're going back in game now, so assuming that there is no other issues, we should be good to resume it ourselves.
Well, let's see what TSM wants to do. The last time they selected double bar might change things up. They are going to have access, obviously, to that double bar once again. They're not going to have access to hookah, though, as they just won it in the previous round. Kitchen still available as well, but they're going to head right back to double bars. So operators locked in and everything of the sort. So now SSG fully well and prepared to get into this one. 6 pick away from the Legion over to the Pulse for Achieved. Really liking this lineup here, especially with that mirror. There's going to be a lot of intel gathering for TSM.
This is one of the other benefits so far from TSM about their defense and other kind of security that they have to hopefully try and close out the match, is that their overall presence on these sites is a lot better than what we saw from SSG. Mind you, SSG was only able to win rounds up on hookah billiards. They were very reliant on that going back to it the second it was unlocked for them, unable to win out another site. We've already seen a couple other sites won here for TSM, so they do have the capability to play things out a little bit more, feeling more comfortable. Their offsite play also potentially opens up a little bit more security in their ability to do things like more aggressive roams to try and catch SSG early. We will see how all of that pans out.
And that's the damnedest thing. Apologies, my friend. I was going to say, that's the damnedest thing about that, right? Is we obviously, everyone at home right now, you and I, everyone, we've played a decent amount of Siege. And as everybody knows, it all takes that one thing to catch you off guard, and the round's over. TSM can pull literally anything out of the hat right now. And if it catches SSG off guard, they're going home. It's all over. They have to have 3 perfect rounds here on offense. Granted, they do have the favorable side for Coastline. We'll have to see if there's a misstep, though.
And even away from that too, right? Like TSM is a 3-round lead right now. Like they can take like 1 round here and potentially try.
There's a lot of chances, right?
Like they can take some risks. But like there you go. Achieved is going to take an aggressive fight early on. That's got them the kill on Fultz now. Now there's no anti-roam because that was their jack.
Oh man, this is going to be a very hard fought round here for TSM. They are just sprinting around this entire map. Look how aggressive this is. Pre-fires everywhere. This is exactly what we expect from this TSM squad. A very aggressive showing here early on. That's only 45 seconds off of the board as stun grenades pour into double bar. SSG might just try and get aggressive and plant on default, but we'll have to see exactly what happens with that. Still plenty of utility at their disposal. Some reconstruction surgery goes on site for TSM. All of a sudden, we're at a stalling point here, at least a slow point, but they are indeed, and this is exactly what we need to see from SSG. Drones in now, trying to secure what's going on inside of sight. They know where the mirror is playing now of Geo. Bar's a safe area, but Achieve, Chala, and Geo all ready for this very aggressive assault from SSG.
I should correct myself. They want to go for it. You could see how much those players were postured up, ready to try and go in. At the moment, it's just Bosco taking up position. They're trying to flush out Geo. This could work pretty well, actually. This is the primary focus for them right now. But the problem is, Bola's holding another angle. If they get too aggressive on that window, and we could see an immediate trade. But that doesn't happen. Geo is going to get burnt out primarily by the incendiary bolts, so that's going to take him down. Leave us in a 4v4. Good trade from SSG. Very tactical trade, too. Maybe this is a little bit trickier than I first thought. It was looking like they were just going to push straight in, but they're actually building something a little bit more complex than that. Micro smoke's now ready to be deployed. Merc, though, is going to be able to find another trade. He's able to eliminate Rampy, but Bosco's right back onto that. Here comes the hop down from Merc, who holds position, but Bosco picking up kills left and right. Everything falls to Merc. Now in a 1v2 situation. If he swings this hallway, he's immediately got a player on him, and that's Bosco to finish things off. SSG, once again, refused to go down without a fight. And they're going to pick up at least one of the 3 rounds they need to take us to OT.
Hell of an adjustment there from SSG. As you were saying, they were posturing so much outside of mud, and then they didn't go for it. But exactly why did that happen? Well, they got the intel on Gio's positioning and realized they would be able to handle him through separate means. They actually ended up using the Capital bolts to be able to move him out from behind Couch, and then adjusted Canadian over to the blue bar window to try and grenade him through the rotate. Luckily enough, he had an ADS there to be able to catch that, but it did make him move just enough to where his body poked out, and SSG was able to take him down and give them some breathing room inside of Sunrise. Then obviously everyone else saw exactly what happened. TSM hightails it back to site, but SSG is ready for them on all fronts. We are going to have a very interesting 6 pick coming in, though. We're going to have Ayana for the very first time between these two.
Ayana, an operator that's had kind of mixed use so far here. Still kind of in debate with how much she can be used in the middle of these rounds, but certainly seems to be useful for SSG. If you'll note, specifically coming off the previous map, I will be fair and say that I have not been paying super close attention to it here on Coastline, but one of the bigger issues looking at the previous 2 maps has been SSG losing a lot of drones very early on, because TSM has been doing a fantastic job of cutting them off with either the roamers or the anchors on site. So having basically unlimited drones, just obviously on a cooldown, is certainly going to help with that issue.
All right, well, as we're getting to the tail end of the prep phase here, TSM setting things up relatively similar to what they were running last time here. We'll have to see exactly what the positioning basis is for them, as SSG didn't really have a top clear at all. It was more of just bully their way into Sunrise by any means necessary, and it ended up working out for them. I really like this adjustment with the Ayana. As you previously stated, a hologram is exactly what she runs, and she's able to get quite a bit of intel off of that. She practically has unlimited intelligence as long as that hologram is not shot, because it puts it on a very, very long cooldown timer, and she still has her 2 drones as well. So she's practically a one-man intel gathering unit. Starting that with a couple of frag grenades, and you're in for a good time. So we'll have to see how SSG can possibly utilize her, as they already have some roof presence here. Canadian trying to get an early pick off of any of the unwearing or unnoticing TSM members.
Just had the first Yana drone go out onto the roof just to be able to peek in from Skylight and make sure there's no one on either of the rotates, either towards luggage or over on the VIP outside hallway. So then that Bolo is going to be taking a lot of heat from drones here. Thankfully, he's on the vigil, so he can hide himself pretty easily from those. And a good ping comes out for Thinking Nade. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the capability to immediately swing onto the angle. Nitro Cell is thrown out from Achieved. I believe that might have been as a response to try and get Thinking Nade, but it is going to miss. So Thinking Nade can come right back onto this angle and await for the rotate from Achieved if he does end up backing up into that. Achieved's got to be careful here. He's being pushed into a corner, but at the same time, getting a lot of drone kills right now here. That's 3 players now completely out of drones. Only 4 remaining here between Thinking Nade and Canadian.
That's a very difficult thing about TSM is, or excuse me, SSG, is if you give them time, they're able to get a lot done with the map, whether it be cutoffs or the rotations back to side or what have you. But it seems that TSM's the first to the punch, but Canadian firing back immediately. We're on equal footing walking into the last minute here, which could possibly be our last round unless SSG has something to say about it. They're trying to clear out the lobby area now, but remember, the site is double bar. Bolo with a huge kill here onto Bosco. That's going to remove the Capital and all of the smokes, which break those lines of sight very easily off the board.
Achieve wasting a lot of time too by constantly shifting his position and trying to get into more aggressive spots. He misses this one though. Fultz walking right in the front door, or at least the service door, and getting himself access to barrels. Is able to take out Achieved after doing such a good job of wasting so much time prior to that moment. 40 seconds remain here, and that's a lot of control going over to the attackers here. Fultz is going to use the Yana drone in order to go out back towards main lobby and make sure they don't have that secondary roamer in order to assist the player he just killed. It's not going to be there at this point. A lot of the focus from TSM is on the bar hold right now with both Gio and I believe Chala here to watch that. Bolo, remember, is still over towards the front, fending off any pushes from that direction.
Well, smoke grenades now for Chala, and he's so good on time. Only 10 seconds remaining. They each take 10 seconds off. Canadian still outside, though, as he now has blue bar control, but he could get fragged out if Bolo swings at the proper time, but he's playing patiently. They need to get this diffuser kit down. They're all hopping inside. This could be it. Fultz with a big kill. It's all down to Bolo, the man, the myth, the legend. Can he possibly do it? He has the hot mark. Bolo, you have to be able to get the last kill. Can he do it? He does! Bolo with the ace in the very last round sends SSG home.
Bolo, what an amazing play. Had himself the game of his life yesterday, and now has had himself the round of his life to send his team through into the grand final of the major. TSM get it done. They upset in massive fashion and knock out the current world champions of Siege and send themselves on into the grand finals, a best of 5 tomorrow, to face off against Dark Zero.
What an insane finish to this map. TSM, very successful coastline and a very, very, very successful win inside of this best of 3 up against the world champions. They finally got the revenge they've been waiting for so long. Congratulations to them. But for SSG, it's going home, boys. You got to go back to the drawing board here. An amazing showing by you guys. If I did the math correctly, that's over 100 rounds played by them inside of this tournament.
Some very, very rough stuff. A very, very rough play day indeed. But they come out victorious at the end of it. TSM rally together and are going to be your victors of the lower bracket final. Big congratulations to them. Commiserations, of course, to SSG. We're still going to go home with the 3rd place winnings and the SI points that come along with it. That's going to do it for myself and Stokes here at the major. But don't go anywhere just yet. We're going back to the analysis desk right now to break down everything in this series.
Map 3, Coastline, 7-4, going to TSM. They're going to the grand finals, folks. They are going. And honestly, what's wrong?
That was insane.
That was
Are you
nuts.
kidding?
Okay, I'm sorry. That was like so
What?
emotive.
Holy.
I can hear Blue. Can y'all hear Blue? No?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
talking, but
Shut
it's fine.
away,
But no,
shut away.
that game was absolutely insane, though.
Yeah, that was absolutely wild. So all I can really say is Bolo Ace. That's really all I can say. Bolo Ace. Jesse, I'll let you take it away since that was like probably the most emotional I've seen you on camera ever.
I mean, that was pretty crazy. I was saying, like, Bolo got the first 2 kills. Like, all right, Bolo's having a good run. And then we're getting like 20 seconds left in that round, right? And I was like, okay, Bolo is off site. They've tried to drone him out with the Yana. If they don't find Bolo, Bolo's gonna save this round. And they don't really have time to find Bolo. So they focus the site just like they should have. And who saves the round? Bolo comes on in. The real thing is, like, Canadian could have looked to the other side if he knew Bolo's positioning. I mean, it's so tense in that moment, but it's just, wow, what a play from the star player of TSM to end this and send them to the grand finals. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's.
You know what the thing is? I'm so sorry. I just wanted to just piggyback off of that for a second. Bolo set TSM up for success from the first 2 kills to the very last one. So the one thing that's really important is that Bolo took out Rampy. Rampy is the deadliest player on Space Station Gaming, right? But it's the 2nd kill that secured him the round. When Bolo killed Bosco, I was thinking about it. Yeah, Bolo, when he took out Bosco was Capital. Now, the one thing that Space Station Gaming really needed, especially for the fact that Mira was on the board, we needed Capital's fire bolts and also his smokes. Now, the fact that Bosco wasn't in the game late to stop anything Bolo could have done, that was the thing, because those smoke bolts could have definitely secured a lot of vision, and the fire bolts would have stopped Bolo from coming in and killing Canadian. So hats off for Bolo. The ace was beautiful. How do you get an ace to finish up a series against Space
If you're
Station?
Bolo.
That's
If you're
crazy.
Bolo. That's how.
It's Bolo
Yes,
things.
that's
He's great.
Bolo things,
He's a god.
100%. I definitely want us to just talk about how TSM feels right now. This has been an emotional journey for them. It has been an up and down season, to say the least. A little bit inconsistent, but not today, gentlemen. Not today. Jesse, I know, I always jokingly say, y'all ain't psychics, you're not mind readers, but what are they thinking right now?
I mean, they gotta feel good. That shouldn't be a surprise. Wow, what a way to end it, I thought that we had the pause, right, with the technical issues, and then we had that break, and then Space Station they won the round, and I was like, oh no, this is a comeback. But Bolo's shutting it down. I mean, easily one of the best plays that we've seen inside of in Rainbow Six. So that must have been, so crazy. And I think it's so nice for TSM too, because they've always been a really good team in North America. They've been at the top for a long time, but I don't think there's been a time where TSM has been ever thought of as the best. It's always like, well, Space Station's the best, or well, Dark Zero might actually be the best. It's well, Auction, even recently, we just thought like, Auction's the best in NA. I don't think I've ever legitimately thought, well, TSM are the best in NA. And now they're here, they're going to the grand finals. I think it's quite possible they could achieve that.
It's so funny you say that, because we were talking about that earlier. Just like, I've just never thought of TSM as #1, and then right before, I think it was this map 3, Veli, you were like, I don't know, I just got this feeling. Like, I got this feeling about TSM.
Yes.
You called it, man. You really did, so.
I jinxed it for Space Station, right?
But everybody says you hate TSM, so you did
But
something
you know what,
for 'em.
Jackie, like, these boys, they deserve it. Like, I'm telling you, like, I was talking to Bagel in Montreal, and I was like, yo, like, how does the team feel? Because the thing is, Space Station beat them in groups 2-1, and then they beat them in the upper bracket finals 2-1. So, like, there was no rematch for TSM after 6 Invitational on this level. On this level, this was their rematch, and they made the Space Boys pay. They deserve this win so bad.
Yeah, they were definitely hungry for it. So obviously TSM is probably just flying right now, feeling so good. SSG, they're probably feeling really down right now. This has been a really arduous weekend for them. So close to the grand finals. This is definitely a hard blow. Veli, talk to me about where their mind is right now.
You know what, Jackie, you said they're feeling down, and you know what? We're not going to sugarcoat things. They should feel that way, because Space Station, they're used to greatness. They've won so many of the last lands that we've had, even top 2, when they weren't placing first, right? So when you look at Space Station, you think about greatness. What we saw today, it wasn't greatness. We saw a bump in the road, excuse me. So, you know what? They're not going to cry about it. They're not going to go in the shower and just, drink a beer while wet water just falls on them all night. They're going to go back to the drawing board. Liking everyone in that coaching support staff, they're going to make sure they're on their A game. So by the time stage 2 comes, they're going to come out the door swinging. I can't wait for it.
Right. And I think, it's not the dynasty that maybe they were looking for. Oftentimes, teams, they win that one big tournament, whether it's a major or the invitational, and then they try to string those together. And, you can think about great teams in Siege history that have done that. And so Space Station still sit with just the one. It was the one that matters, the 6 Invitational, but I'm sure this is one that they were looking for to just continue and say, like, we had a long stretch of time where we are the best. And they can't really say that anymore. But they can at least, like, hold their head high and think, all right, well, now we can bring that comeback, And when we get to the next major, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can't win them all.
No, you can't. But you know who won today? TSM. And Achieved is on deck. He is about to chat with our Jess Brohard. Let's toss it over there. Jess, tell Achieved congrats for us. So exciting.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Achieved, congratulations. That congrats is from both me and from Jackie over on the desk. Very, very well deserved. Big, big victory. Now, I mean, SSG have been just hailed as the world champions, and a lot of people really thought they were going to come out on top and win this whole event. So how does it feel to be the ones to take them out?
It feels pretty good beating SSG, because we really haven't played them much. We lost to them at SI twice. Both were really close games. And then in the second split of, I think, Season 11, we lost to them 2-7-5. That once again was a really close game. Every time we play those guys, it's a complete, like, barn burner. And I think today, like, me and the whole team, like, we all played extremely bad. We did not play our game. We weren't ready. We didn't wake up, like, we were not ready, like, the whole day. So to beat them, like, in this way, it feels good, but, like, we're really disappointed in ourselves because, like, we know this isn't how we play, and we can be much better than this.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up that you haven't played them a lot. That was another point I was going to make, even though you've been just neck and neck with them in the standings so far in stage 1. You haven't played them yet this season. So did you have any idea really what to expect out of them?
I mean, we kind of know what to expect from SSG. Their playstyle hasn't changed. It doesn't need to. their playstyle hasn't really changed. We actually haven't scrimmed them a lot either. I don't think we've probably scrimmed them like once in the past like 3 or 4 months. Because of the major because of the major, like it's kind of hard to scrim a lot of the PL teams right now. So especially them, we haven't scrimmed them in a while. So it was kind of fresh for all of us going in. Like both teams, we just knew about VODs, and that's pretty much it. But I mean, we kind of knew what to expect, but we haven't played them like much recently at all, even in scrims.
Well, let's look ahead to tomorrow. You are going to the grand finals where you'll be facing Dark Zero, and I know it was a tough day for you. It was a tough match with them knocking you down just earlier today with that 2-0. So given all that, and given the fact that you were talking to me about how you are a little disappointed even in that performance versus SSG, what's your mindset going into the grand finals versus Dark Zero tomorrow?
Our mindset is to, well, wake up and be ready. First of all, you know, we're all gamers. We're not really ready for, you know, waking up at this time of the day. But I mean, our goal is to just wake up, come to the match prepared, especially more prepared than today, and play our own game. So as long as we can play our own game, I think we'll be fine.
What do you think you're going to be doing today, tonight, to really adjust things to make sure that you don't have a repeat of the match that we saw earlier?
Well, definitely going to go to bed a little earlier, but just look some things over, change up a few things, and basically go from there.
I know that even with this tremendous victory you got today, I know there is still a road ahead and you must be feeling a ton of pressure, but at the same time, I think you should obviously be really proud of yourselves for everything you've achieved so far. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to your fans right now who've supported you through this journey?
Just thank you to all the fans. Sorry for the disappointing loss to DZ, but you know, you're going to lose eventually, I guess. Everyone loses. But, I mean, basically just thank you to all the fans for continuing to support us. And we'll show up big tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much, Achieved. Congrats again on the victory. Good luck tomorrow. Go get some sleep. Make sure you are well rested for tomorrow's match. Jackie, we're going to send it back over to you.
All right, Jess, Achieved, thank you all so much. Great victory. Such a fun series to watch. Show up big tomorrow. You heard it from the man himself. And achieved greatness today, y'all. I think that arguably MVP of the match. Would you guys agree?
Okay. I mean, overall,
well,
yeah,
Bolo's
but Bolo
ace.
won it.
I know. You know
Bolo
what?
won it.
Actually, you're right. I mean, Bolo's ace just kind of blew that out of the water. But Achieved still very, very great. And talking about Bolo's ace, I mean, it's time for Corsair play of the day. If y'all don't guess this, like, get out. Just walk out of here. Yeah, let's roll the tape. I mean, I want to watch this again. Let's roll it. Corsair play of the day, everybody. And it's Bolo's ace. And if it's not, like, what's going on? Here we go. Here we go.
That's just so insane.
Yeah.
Just, I cannot.
And I think it was like how slow they were roam clearing. Like, I think you can pick this apart and you could talk about how Spacestation Gaming needed to be a little bit quicker in addressing their roamers. There were 3 big roamers on TSM, and you know they got 2 of them. They didn't get the one that counted. So, you know, you could pick apart that round for days and days. But at the end of the day, it's Bolo that showed up big, so
yeah,
well done to him.
Yes, well done. I mean, well done to TSM in general. That was, and you know what's so funny? During that interview, I mean, these guys are just like, there's so much we still need to work on, still not happy with their loss against DZ and looking ahead, you know, and they're like, tomorrow we got to do this. So talking about that, here's our bracket, ladies and gentlemen, the grand finals tomorrow. Jesse, how you feeling? I mean, we got the grand finals.
This is it, Dark Zero TSM. I'm not gonna lie, this is not what I expected in the grand finals. I think a lot of people, okay, almost everybody had Space Station in the grand finals. A lot of people had Oxygen, including myself, in the grand finals. So this is gonna be a really fun matchup. It's a best of 5, which is just the highest level of siege we could possibly have. There's no map advantage, so it is an even footing for both Dark Zero and TSM. They're gonna be going into this game and giving it their all. Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
Veli. Ooh, it's going to be a good one. You just heard it from Jesse. I need, come on. It is. Come on, Veli. I need some Veli enthusiasm here. It's not going to be a good one.
It's going to be damn amazing, Jack. No, I'm playing. I'm sorry for yelling in the mic. I'm sorry for all your ears out there. It's going to be amazing. Like, all right, so Space Station, they're going to be out of it, right? Oxygen, they're out. Okay, whatever. But now, is Dark Zero coming to get their throne back? The first place was first in NA was Dark Zero's thing. Like, they were on top for so long, but then TSM, they're like, yo, we've been knocking on that door for a while now. Somebody's gonna let us in sooner or later, and if you don't, we're gonna knock the door down. So what Bolo showed us in that last round, that's the type of hunger TSM has. I can't wait for these finals, Jackie. This is gonna be pure.
Super excited about this. Dark Zero versus TSM, best of 5. I really cannot wait. So everyone at home, make sure you tune in, make sure you join us. Also, like, if that wasn't enough, we've been talking about this DLC reveal trailer. It's awesome. Like, I cannot even hype this enough. I don't want to leak out anything, or my producer's like, she's already like giving me the eye. I can feel her like burning through me. So I won't say anything else, but the DLC reveal trailer is dropping tomorrow. You don't want to miss any of this. But thank you to all of you at home for watching. It has been an absolutely exhilarating, thrilling 2 days. Jesse, Veli, I love you boys so much. You already know that. Jess, you're my homegirl. My casters, Kicks and Taro, Blue and Stokes. My crew, I love y'all. You are fantastic. And of course, again, we love y'all so much at home. Thank you so much. We wouldn't be anything without y'all. So, like, all the hearts, all of the love. And we better see you tomorrow. Grand finals. All right. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow.